morning. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn Clark. He is Griffin. Drew is going to join us a little bit later on. We got a lot to do on the program today. Maryland, Michigan State tonight. Rapheal Davis, Big Ten Network, who's been really bullish about the Terps for some time. He'll check in with us ahead of that. Speaking of college hoops, big one at Towson tomorrow night as they try to clinch the outright CAA regular season title. Already locked up the number 1 seed in the tournament. Nendah Tarke, who's been in this like bench role where he's sort of been like the leader off the bench, and has been really good in that role. We're going to talk to him a little bit later on in the program. In just a minute, Erik Kratz from Foul Territory, former MLB catcher, will join us after he made an appearance in Sarasota this week. A lot to do here on a Wednesday edition of the program. If you haven't picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, go do it right now. David Rubenstein is on the cover. Stan the Fan and I had a lengthy sit-down with the owner of the Orioles. A lot to say. Go get that immediately. Don't waste any time. Stop everything you're doing. Well, don't do both things. Both listen to or watch this show and get to your neighborhood Royal Farms or any of those hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. You can read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. The print issue of Press Box with David Rubenstein on the cover. Go get it right now. Now. Go do that immediately. As I mentioned, our first guest today was in Sarasota this week with the Foul Territory crew, checking out the Orioles as they do their spring training tour. He is former MLB catcher, Mr. Erik Kratz, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Erik, it's Glenn. It's always great to catch up, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Glenn, I appreciate you having me on. It's been a long time. It feels like baseball needs to start.
Yeah, right? We are ready for it. You know what really happened to Erik is that, like, the Orioles didn't do anything so noteworthy this offseason that, like, we had to talk about it, unfortunately, here in Baltimore. And that's the weird feeling. Like, and I know it's separated because, like, when you're there is every reason for the Orioles to feel like they're a good baseball team and they have an absolute chance to compete. And I have no doubt that it wasn't just the best shape of my life stuff. Like, I got it. The vibes have to be high. It's just a weird vibe back here where we're like, yeah, they're good, but why couldn't they have been better?
Okay. I see what you're saying. I see how you're getting after it there, but you come down to spring training and you sit there and you go, ooh, these boys, they're all living together. They're enjoying their time together. You can't forget that this team is an elite group of young players that, in my opinion, are only going to keep getting better. Like you figure out how do you improve as a team? Well, you get more experience. Well, you know what? Gunnar Henderson's a year older. Adley Rutschman's a year older, and that's not a bad thing. Those are good things. And the best part for me is they struggled last year. Really elite players, all-star caliber players that struggle, learn how to become better. And you're like, wait a minute, this could be bad for the American League East. And I get it. You wanted another Corbin Burns type of pickup. Mm-hmm. And when you have that the year before, you say, well, why didn't they do that? And I would agree with you. And I think they still have time. I think there's still starting pitchers who are saying, you know what? Our team doesn't really want me. Maybe I could get traded to Dylan Cease, Luis Castillo. But you sit there and you go, is this team good enough to win the East right now? In my opinion, yes.
Okay. Let's dive in a little bit, Erik, because you bring up, the starting pitch, and I am very much in favor of the Orioles going after a Dylan Cease or a Michael King or even a Luis Castillo. But the argument that a lot of people have made, there's this theory that you don't need top of the rotation guys. And while I still think Yamamoto is probably a better option than the Orioles at the moment, but the Dodgers didn't necessarily have a traditional ace a year ago. I also realized their roster was far more loaded than anyone else's. But is there enough bulk pitching in Baltimore to make up for the presence of the traditional ace, or does doing this require, like Grayson Rodriguez, to take that proverbial next step and become that guy who we think has the talent to do it?
Can I say both?
Okay. Okay.
Can one happen without the other? Yes. Would it be great if both happened? Absolutely. To me, I think they're still a little short on innings. Where that comes from, I don't know. In the sense of, like, you figure you play 162 games times 9, you get how many innings you need to complete to win more games than you lose. And I think they need one more. If you're not going to go get an ace, it's okay to bring Kyle Gibson back to do what Kyle Gibson does at this point. It's not okay for them to go to the All-Star break or the trade deadline and Grayson hasn't taken that next step.
Right.
They're winning. They're leading the American League East by a game. It's not okay to continue to hold the Enrique Bradfield prospects, the Connor Norbys, the Heston Kierstad, like all these guys that we're talking about right now could step up and be part of the big league team, but it's not okay to not have an ace at the trade deadline and have all these prospects. It's time to go. It's time to push yourself ahead, because the other teams that are going to be ahead of, or that are going to be chasing the Orioles at the trade deadline, will go ahead and do that, or have gone ahead and done that. It's going to be the Red Sox and Yankees chasing them this year, and they've already gotten Max Fried. They've already gotten Garrett Crochet. And you say, okay, well, what have we done? Nothing against picking up Zach Eflin last year. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Nothing against getting Kyle Gibson right now to eat innings. But at the trade deadline, you need to make sure that you're in a position to give your team the best chance to win the World Series, not make the playoffs, win the World Series. They are in a different realm right now than a lot of other teams. The Orioles have the team to win a World Series, and I need the front office to get off their hands or get off their prospects and make sure that happens.
Erik Kratz is with us here on GCR. You can check out all of Foul Territory's coverage from down in Sarasota this week. Erik, you bring up that glut, right? And that, like, Heston Kjerstad right now looks like a guy who's kind of getting squeezed a little bit. And then Kobe Mayo is the next guy that you look at and say, boy, really, does he need to be in the minor leagues? Because it feels like he doesn't have anything else to prove there, and there's no real path, barring injury, for him to be on the opening day roster. Is that a problem, or is that a good problem to have because it's giving you incredible depth, because you know that there are going to be guys that get hurt?
There are going to be guys that get hurt. But like I said before, where does that problem end, and when does it become a solution to help them win the World Series?
Yeah.
Because, you have that depth, but you also have young guys who are going to play. Like, to me, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Adley can play 155 games. If you give him 130 behind the dish, you give him some DHs, he's playing first. Like, he gives you so much value that you're like, they're in a more unique situation than other teams because they have such youth. It's kind of like the Braves. Like, how much depth do the Braves really need? Well, you go ahead and lose Acuna, and you go ahead and lose these guys. And you're like, we cannot figure it out because they don't see people. I'm here at Yankees camp right now, and people are bothering me.
You're good, man. I appreciate
the support staff is bothering me.
Yeah, what the hell? Who is it? Name names.
Yeah, exactly. See, they know I'm on Baltimore radio, so I'm talking high about the Orioles,
and they're pissed off if they don't want to hear that. Camp. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
No.
The hell with them.
But you sit there and you go, what is our identity as a team, or what is our goal as a team? And when we talk to every one of the guys, we talk to guys off camera, we talk to Ryan O'Hearn, we talk to Grayson Rodriguez and Adley, and it's to win the World Series.
Yep.
That is what they want to do. And if you have that glut of depth, make sure that, like I said, like at the beginning of the season, you're using that as like, hey, we are strong. We feel good about having this guy. At some point, you can't keep sending dudes back to AAA to hit 20 homers and hit 300.
Right.
Like, you can't.
Doesn't do anything for you. Doesn't help. It helps the Norfolk Tides, but doesn't help anybody else. Erik, you bring up Adley Rutschman, right? Are we dismissive? Do we just put that out of our minds? What happened in the second half of last season? Do we say clearly there was some issue that he was going through and we're past it, or do we have to remember that's part of the story too and be a little bit concerned and maybe think about a plan where Gary Sanchez is catching a little bit more? What do we do with that?
Can I say zero concern? And then Baltimore is going to say, yeah, but I saw it. I watched it. Yeah. There's definitely concern.
Yeah,
like,
probably.
I don't know how to say there's zero concern other than I got some insight about what he went through and how he made the change.
Okay.
And I'm going to say there's zero concern.
Okay.
We're talking about a all-star catcher that went through struggles that I think sometimes people don't understand. Like, let's say an injury. I'm not saying he had an injury. I'm saying, let's say it's an injury and, well, he's back in 2 weeks. Young guys, baseball players, competitive people, they want to come back as soon as they possibly can. So you're always going to come back from injury. But let's say you're dealing with something off the field. You're never going to sit there and go, oh man, I'm dealing with something off the field. I hope the fans understand I need to take some time. You don't get to take time away for injuries that aren't surgery injuries. You don't get to take time away for off-field issues. You don't get to, as Adley Rutschman, you don't get to stop playing. You don't get like 3 days off. Like, you have to keep grinding through swing changes, and to double down on that, the dude's got 2 swings. He's got to essentially work on.
Yes.
Yeah, right-handed and left-handed. So, you know what? Like, I guess, and this is probably my naive, positive player self, I would push all my chips into Adley Rutschman. This guy went through struggles, and I think it was Miley Cyrus who said, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger."
Well, it wasn't, but it was Kelly Clarkson, so we'll go with it.
It was Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
So you sit there and you go, that is what, to me, when you talk about elite players and they have a struggle and there's not like something that you're like, well, he's on the wrong side of 33 years old, or it's this. I would double down on what you think Adley Rutschman can do, because I think he is primed for an incredible season.
All right, so what Erik Kratz just told you is race out Adley Rutschman plus 7,000 to win AL MVP. Get all of your money on it right now. That's from Erik Kratz. Not those are your direct words, correct? That's exactly what you said?
I will tail that.
Hell yeah.
I will tail that.
Hell yeah. I'm on it, man. What do you, hey, can I don't know if we've talked about this before. It's not going to be this year, I don't think. But at some point, Samuel Basallo is going to be the next guy that's going to be banging down the door and the Orioles have to bring up here. And there's been a lot made about the possibility that maybe like in 2026, this becomes almost like a timeshare that you do. And I don't know that there's precedent for this, but you have 2 positions, whether it's catcher and first base or catcher and DH, where these are the 2 guys and they're essentially splitting it 50-50. Is that practical? Is that legitimate? Can that work when you have 2 players like this?
If the players buy in, if it helps the team be the best team, yes, it's very practical.
Okay.
Is that fair to Adley Rutschman? If you want to do that, like let's say you really, really love Samuel and everything I've heard, they love him. Everything I've seen, I love him. But you're also talking about you have a all-star catcher at the position. And you sit there and you go, is it fair to Adley to each year you're getting closer to free agency? Is it fair to not have him extended and do that to him? To me, if you want to do that, go ahead and extend Adley right now.
Sure.
You extend him and you get that certainty. And I guarantee you he's good with playing first base not in his walk year. Because if he's doing that in his walk year or the year before his walk year,
that hurts.
It demeans some of his value. It demeans some of his value, and it's not saying he's a selfish person. It's saying he's played a long time to get to free agency, and you need to give him that opportunity to freaking play his position.
I get it. I completely understand that, and it makes sense. I know I got to let you go because you got a show to do. Can I just get your, in doing these tours, thoughts on the ABS? And it felt like a year ago the players were actually like more against it than I expected them to be, the pitchers in particular. Do you feel like that tide is changing? Do you feel like maybe when we finally get to it, realistically, we might maybe not just be limited to 2 times a game and maybe do a better job of trying to get balls and strikes right?
I didn't hear players that were against it. I heard players that were against the robo umpires, but not the challenge system.
Yeah, okay. All right. That's
to
probably
me,
more
the challenge system.
Yeah.
The challenge system, guys have been super, super loving it. They've been loving the challenge system, and to me, I think a play, unless it becomes really strategic, and I have to talk to more guys who use it in the minor leagues, if it becomes too strategic, 2 is not enough, in my opinion, because the players are going to get it right often, and I think you want to have enough where we're getting it right, but you're still having enough of a, like, it being, I don't know, is this the spot we want to use it? Like, you still want to get, you want to get it right. Like in my opinion, like the mound visits, if something is going haywire, an umpire has the ability to say, you know what, you can go out and talk to him. You're not delaying anything. Stuff's going haywire here. So it's, yes, you're only allowed a certain amount of mound visits, and we don't get to that point. So to me, I think they need to do more. Mm-hmm. And then if we never get to that point, then drop it down to 2, because it doesn't take long. I just saw it live yesterday at the Braves-Pirates game, and it's great. Yeah. The fans enjoyed it. They're watching it. And they got the call right.
What a concept! Right. What a concept!
Totally.
Calls right. Oh, it's crazy. So Yankees today. So you're saying today might not be the day for Baltimore fans on foul territory.
It might not be the day, but you might want to listen in to see who we got talking on the show today. It's kind of a crapshoot. You talk to guys as they go by, and they're in their spring training workouts. So we'll see. We'll see who we get on.
You know I love what you guys do, and I've always been an Erik Kratz fan. At Foul Territory TV, Erik Kratz 31. Give him a follow. Always appreciate you, brother. Let's do this again real soon. Thank you for hopping on this morning, man.
Anytime. Please reach out.
Will do, dude. Erik Kratz, former MLB catcher, now with Foul Territory, just down in Sarasota this week. Very bullish, and seems to think that perhaps he might have the answer about Adley Rutschman and why we shouldn't be concerned. Okay. I hope he's right. That would be tremendous news if there is an obvious answer. It's still confusing as to how it got to the point that it did, where, like, if it was a small injury that maybe when things started going so south, perhaps you step in and say, maybe he does need 10 days. And I know the argument was always, but you still want him back there defensively. Like, I get it, but maybe when you started to notice how bad it had gotten, you could pause for 10 days, knowing you had a pretty good alternative option defensively, and then hope that perhaps that reset him a little bit. They didn't do that, so I'm still a bit confused, but I do get the point that Erik Kratz is attempting to make about how this whole thing works and why perhaps the Orioles didn't sit Adley Rutschman there for a little bit. All right, off to a hot start today here on GCR. Real quick, we covered a lot of Eric DeCosta's comments. I know John Harbaugh also met with the media yesterday. Essentially the same stuff. I think a lot of people are reading into like the actual words where he said, we're looking at the kickers. But that's basically the same thing that Eric DeCosta said, and kind of saying it in the cover the ass way, which is, well, we look at every position every year, and we always have a list, and we always have a group of guys. I think people are reading into that as them telling you they're drafting a kicker, and I wouldn't read into it that way. I think that's them just covering their ass. I do think the one thing that's successfully, if you wanted news yesterday, it's the Ravens outright confirming we don't have a zero-tolerance policy. Following Erik DeCosta's press conference, apparently a spokesperson telling the Baltimore Banner, that's not what it is. It's not a zero-tolerance policy, which we've talked about for the last couple of weeks. That we know that. In a way, I do, whatever role the media still has in covering a football team, I do think that is well used. They've still referred to a zero-tolerance policy that doesn't exist, and it's been clear it doesn't exist. And this kind of forced them to acknowledge that. They don't have a zero-tolerance policy. Now, they may have a player conduct policy of some sort, or it may really be more of what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, which is it's just situational. They have preferences, and they believe that personal conduct matters. But it has become clear that the Ravens don't have any actual hard-line zero-tolerance policy. And we know that. They signed Dalvin Cook. If it was zero tolerance, then presumably even an allegation against, say, Flowers, like that, it's not zero tolerance. We know that. And as I said before, that's probably the correct answer. This is what's the line that Drew, like, I don't know. Ask me to define pornography. I'll tell you when I see it, right? Like, it's sort of that. It's not something that can be defined. It's more of we know that there are certain things that we won't accept. But to call it zero tolerance would be inaccurate. Now, they've used those words, as the Banner rightfully pointed out in the original reporting about Justin Tucker. They went back in the history of those, in the recent history of those in the Ravens organization, referring to the word zero tolerance policy. So it was appropriate because the Ravens suggested they had a zero-tolerance policy. But we knew based on fact that wasn't the case. We're all looking for an answer on Justin Tucker. And it's still a bit more complicated than that. And as I said, I think there are really two paths forward. I think one path forward is just saying it's over. I think the other path forward is trying to default to the NFL, giving a significant punishment that buys them time to figure out if they have a new kicker. Because desperation can breed forgiveness. As I've said before, if the NFL were to hand out a 6 to 8 game punishment for Justin Tucker, and in those 6 to 8 games, whoever you decide to let be your kicker comes through and looks great, then it's much easier after that time to say, we're moving on from Justin Tucker. And if that new kicker doesn't, and I'm not saying you this is okay or it makes anything that Justin Tucker did okay, but we understand how this works. When you're desperate, all of a sudden the fan base might be a little bit more inclined to say, look, man, I'm not okay with what he did, but we need somebody who can make a kick. I don't think that will be the path forward for the Baltimore Ravens, but I don't think it's impossible. And again, when I share these things, I don't share them with I'm not telling you somebody told me that. I'm saying that I've done some work and talked to. I don't really talk to people within the Ravens much about these types of topics because they won't do it. They will go utterly radio silent. But around the league and people that I know and try to get opinions, I have reason to believe it's not impossible that it's something that they've considered. We'll see. But I get it. That's really what all these questions are, is we just want to know. We just want to know, what's this going to look like? Who's going to be the kicker next year? That's what we really want to know. And they're not going to tell you that. So anything other than that, the only thing that could happen from a press conference is disaster. Is what happened the day the Ravens allowed Ray Rice and his wife to do a press conference all those years ago. And became, for a short time, the laughingstock of the NFL. And that didn't happen yesterday. You were never going to get the answer. What they did successfully was not fall face first. Did John Harbaugh need to say, I love Justin Tucker? No. But in the context of what he said, I don't think it was said in a way that people misunderstood. I think that you could understand he was saying, I have loved Justin Tucker. He's been a part of this thing. He's been in the we're trying to figure this out. I don't think that there was a lot of room for people to feel like what John Harbaugh was saying is, I love that he was out at massage parlors allegedly doing all these things. I think that probably was the only time yesterday that I was like, regrettable wording. My buddy and I were talking recently about the television show Veep and remembering, I think it was the first episode of Veep, where Selena Meyer tried to make a joke about the phrase hoisted by my own retard, and it came off as her saying the R word, and it didn't. The only time that I felt any amount of cringe yesterday was knowing John Harbaugh. I have known John Harbaugh. We're not close. I don't cover the team anymore. But as many conversations as I've had with him in the past, I'm comfortable, and it didn't seem like other people, it didn't seem like that caught on as being an issue. I think they, for the most part, the one thing they didn't do was get terribly snippy with reporters. And that's when, so good on whoever was responsible for coaching up these guys, saying don't turn into the president, answer the questions, tell them you understand why they're asking the questions.
Appreciate the question.
I really appreciate. It's a good question. I appreciate the question. At one point, Erik did kind of try to move the conversation along, but even that wasn't snippy necessarily. It was more, guys, I've kind of told you everything I can tell you. I've taken a lot of questions about this. Can we move in it? Are there other things that we want to talk about? Even that didn't come off like you're trying to avoid the subject. So just grading their performance, I think they did fairly well. Did we learn much? No. Nothing other than they're not going to be able to use the term zero tolerance policy anymore. That's the only thing we learned yesterday, is that they can't say those specific words moving forward. And I do think that all the comments about Ronnie Stanley were, again, as I said yesterday, if we had a Ronometer,
bumped up quite a few.
It would have definitely, that would have moved for sure yesterday, significantly. I don't know where it would have been, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 50-50 going in, maybe even given some of the reporting that I had heard or some of the tea leaks.
Right.
I might have even had
the way a lot of people thought they were going to, or the way a lot of people going into yesterday thought they would be taking a tackle round one.
Maybe I would have been at 47, sub 50 yesterday, and I definitely would be over 50 today. Today it would be probably 70 to 80, somewhere in that neighborhood. 80, somewhere between 70 and 80 would be about where it would be. But that doesn't mean anything, right? Like, as
do we need to be careful with the way that we're hearing those DeCosta comments?
Yes,
Where that's because that's
100%.
the first, where like that's the first question. Moving on from the Tucker stuff, where he's just so relieved to talk about something different?
not in that context.
Okay.
I think it's more in the context of, as I said yesterday, you don't set the bar for failure. That's the unique part about what,
right.
and John Harbaugh basically just sort of followed up. He didn't really say anything new about it. Like he, just sort of followed up what Erik had said. But you don't, in this business, you don't ever set yourself up to be measured if it could fail. You just don't do that. You don't set a standard by which, if you don't feel like you're going to succeed, now you can be measured by that. So it's believable, but just because something is believable doesn't mean it's done. And, I know we're not in the legal tampering window, but I assure you we're in the tampering window. And to be fair, we've been in the tampering window. Trying to pretend like somebody doesn't know they're a free agent. Imagine you're an agent out at dinner at the Super Bowl and you bump into the general manager of a team that needs offensive tackle help. You're just, well, I tell you what we're definitely not going to talk about is my guy. I mean, come on, dude. It's just so beyond the line of believability. We've been in the tampering window. So it might very well be that the Ravens feel good about an offer, but then it might very well be that the Patriots want to make sure by the way, whatever the offer is, we're willing to match or exceed it. So the Ravens might feel good about where they are, but that doesn't mean that the deal's done. So that's why it would still only be between 70 and 80% to me, even after the comments from yesterday. But yeah, nothing else from John Harbaugh that I thought, for some reason he was talking about high school. It was very weird. It was a very weird, I tell you, the Combine's a weird place, man, where you have reporters that are there to do not hardcore, but their job specifically. And then you have a ton of people that are just there, that are just lingering because that's where the NFL is. The NFL is happening, so we should be there. And you cover one team, but there's only 2 guys from your team that are going to speak. And then it's 4 days of prospects that you're going to ask. I think there was a joke that some reporter today was wearing a shirt that said, have you talked to team I cover? It's 4 days of asking prospects hey man, you talk to the Browns? Stupid. What? Speaking of stupid, I don't.
Let's go.
First of all, this guy shows up 30 minutes late.
Well, I'm not really 30 minutes late. You guys love to book guests when it's my turn.
Oh, is that what it is? You're too big for this?
Yes, these guests are more important than me.
Oh, no, no. Is that what he told you? Because I was very specific for him to tell you that.
Let's go.
Drew's.
Anybody else? Any new allegations against Justin Tucker this morning?
That's what you came in with today?
Anybody?
That's what you came in. I always wonder where you're going when you come in on a Tuesday.
Poor guy. Did you get
Poor guy, he says.
What was your takeaway from Erik yesterday?
We just
telling
spent
the truth
10
or
minutes
not?
about what? About Justin
Tucker?
Tucker?
They didn't know.
I mean, it's hard pressed for me to believe that, but they're going to cover their ass until someone can prove that they did. Right. They're not going to outright come out and say, "Hey guys, I want you to know we've been covering this up for the last 5 years." They're never going to say that.
No,
last 10 years or whatever it is at this
point.
But
they they're in a bad position of if it ever came out that they did know,
they're going to be.
Then
100%.
Someone's going to say you stood up there in Indianapolis and lied.
Well, I understand that, but I've always assumed that.
I don't think Erik would lie.
I
don't think Erik would lie. I really don't. I do not think Erik would lie.
I don't believe that he would. Man, I can't say anything about that.
I'm just telling you that I don't think.
I understand.
I don't think
that.
Erik would stand up there yesterday and say we didn't know about this until the banner called us. I don't think he would say that.
I've always assumed that there is going to be someone within the organization that's going to be the designated fall guy in all of this. Someone within the organization, probably in security, is going to be told, "You're going to have to be the one that knew and didn't
well,
tell us.
They sort of tried to do that a little bit with Darren Sanders, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, Darren was the one
that went to Atlantic City.
Yep. Darren was the one who obtained the tape. Darren is the one who said to Ozzie, "You're not going to like what you see," and all of that was prefaced by the fact that, if you remember, Ray Rice said to Ozzie, "I slapped her," and therein lied the semantics of slapping and punching. We all think they're two different things.
Well, a lot of people do. Some people would say it never should have mattered.
No. But the semantics of it are legitimate. Meaning, if someone says to me, "I slapped you," but you punched me, I'm going to say, no, you didn't slap me. You punched me. Now, it's still dynamically, it's still the same thing in terms of the criminal element of it. You struck me.
Yes.
But that was the problem, right? They were told when Ray said, "I slapped her," Ozzie, in his mind, Ozzie now plays a video in his mind of Ray Rice open-handed slapping this woman. Then when they see the video, Ozzie's
that's not what it was.
That's not really what happened. Darren, I think, knew that all the way. He knew that because he had all the information at his disposal. But how long he kept it from them is what you're saying. Did anyone in security know this? I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't have at least said,
"Hey, man, there's something's
going on here with your kicker."
And that's where the deniability comes in. It might very well be that someone knew something, and it was just better off for other people not to know. And this sounds like mob conversation, but deniability is part of a high level, a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar organization. There always is going to be an amount of what was the line in Succession at the end? "I need a pain sponge." You're going to have to be the sponge because it can't be this person, because this person can't fall. You can fall, and at some point you might have to fall. And I understand. Again, it sounds like I'm talking about criminal activity. It's not criminal. It's just the way things are constructed. I think there is a line between that. At some point, it's very hard for me to believe that the leadership of this organization was never told, "Hey, man, there's some stuff related to
Here's where I would agree with you. As glued in, and I will confess, I am now talking 10 years ago.
Yes.
I'm not talking about now because I haven't been around.
Right.
But as glued in as they have been and or were when I was around, to ear to the ground. Would you hear what they said on the radio this morning? I mean, John Harbaugh got mad at me once because I called Hushmanzada a career loser. And he said, "You're a little harsh on Hushmanzada. I heard you coming in this morning." And he got SE with me because I called him a career loser. I said, "John, they gave him $13 million in Seattle and told him to leave. If that's not a loser, I don't know what is." So they used to listen to everything. And I know this because I've seen it. He has
they
notes.
Give him a packet.
Yeah, he has notes, and it says, "Make sure you mention that was Mark Andrews' 237th consecutive game with a catch."
Right.
Make sure. So, they give him that stuff. So they've been glued in forever to what's going on the internet and who's writing what and where did the story come from. And I don't know. I don't know that Kevin Van Valkenburg would talk about this on the air. Maybe he wouldn't. But Kevin was essentially banned from there over the story
more or less,
regarding Ray Rice. And Kevin would say this, that he got that one wrong. He has said that before.
A part of it.
Right.
Not the story was correct.
No, the story was right, but there were a lot of factual inaccuracies in the story that he wasn't proud of.
Yes, one particular text that was
and he learned, I think he would admit, I learned a lesson that day, that I didn't vet that enough. And the Ravens essentially told him, "You can't come back." And they're doing that because they then go out and do their own research, right? To your point about what did they know, there were things floating around on the internet for years that I never saw.
Yes, a lot of us didn't. Correct.
That now, when you go back and you got the receipts, it says, "Hey, Justin Tucker just got banned from another source program." it makes you wonder how much. I mean, they've always been glued to the internet, and they've always been glued to sports talk radio, and they've always been glued to the world. Now all of a sudden you're not glued? That seems kind of weird.
I do think that there is a.
I don't know,
and I'm not saying this with facts,
but I don't know that any of that matters.
I don't know that it matters either. I think it's possible that they knew that what they thought they knew was Justin Tucker acted like an idiot in some massage parlors, and that it never rang to them as Justin Tucker was doing things that would be registered as sexual assault. Like that, though, there is a disconnect from how they were aware of it, and that when
what was the name of the kid that OD'd 5 years ago?
Which
Jalen
Ferguson.
Yes,
they now I'm make sure I say this the right way. They were definitely concerned about some of the people he was hanging out with, and in fact had whatever you want to, however I want to say this, had told someone in his circle they weren't, or had told Jalen, that guy in your circle not allowed around, not allowed in hanging around the hotel on Saturday night when we're playing at home on Sunday, not allowed around. Bad guy, not allowed around. They knew that. What they didn't know was that Jalen Ferguson was driving downtown in the middle of the night and using drugs. They didn't know that, but they knew he was hanging around bad people, right? So to your point
there's
about
a lot of money involved with this. That's the part of this that like we see it as a football team. It is an extraordinary business, and when you run an extraordinary, like they clowned there was a story in the Washington Post years ago about the Dallas Cowboys having a fixer. Right? Like they employed someone whose job was to do some questionable things. But that's the way, if you've been around mega business, they have fixers. Donald Trump had a fixer. Like everybody has these.
The president, you mean?
Well, the one, yes. I don't know if I don't know when Michael Cohen's employment ended with Donald Trump, but Donald Trump.
Oh, right. President Trump.
Yeah, thank you. That is correct. But I don't know if Michael Cohen worked for President Trump or if he only worked for Donald Trump.
If he did, I'm sure there was something nefarious going on.
Oh, I'm going to guess.
I'm just telling you.
The point being, fixers exist.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to guess the Ravens, they probably won't ever put him out for a Washington Post profile, but have a fixer. Because there is an extraordinary amount of money involved with running this organization.
You mean somebody that brushes up next to Allison at the Starbucks and goes,
yeah.
Hey, by the way, what kind of car do you have out there? Is that your Lexus? Would you unlock it for me so I can put something in the glove compartment?
Let's not. You settle down. Now you're going a little too far.
Hey, gee,
you're
look.
Going a little too far.
Here's $300,000.
Settle down over there. You're going too far with it.
But that is what you mean.
I sort of. I'm alluding to the idea that there is a person who is responsible for certain things.
Mike Krzyzewski had one of those people.
Oh, yeah. Might have had multiple.
Right.
I
think Maryland's got one now for sure.
Well, they better. They
right.
better have one.
Right.
They're good now.
Right.
They better get there. The point of yesterday was I don't think that they said anything that caused them greater embarrassment.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think Erik lied. I also don't think that any of this, meaning what they knew and what they didn't know, I don't know that any of it matters. He has to go.
Does it
he
matter?
Has to go.
Well, we're doing two different conversations. Does it matter what they knew and what they didn't know? I do think it would matter if decision makers knew that someone was committing sexual assault and they were choosing to turn their blind eye to it. Now, in what context does that matter?
Well, let's be careful here. There was
not
their out would be
right.
If there was a police report, we'd be happy to take a look at it. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be their out.
No, but if they were told directly, this is what he's doing, and they just said, yeah.
Well, if they said, if there's a police report, we'd like to see it.
No, if they were involved in, if anybody up there was involved with, let's make sure this doesn't see the light of day.
Okay, well, that's totally a different story.
It's a significant part of this.
No, but that's a totally different story then. Or if there's a police report, let me see it. Right? They're totally different.
It's different, yes. But
if there's a police report, It is now a criminal investigation,
100%.
and they are obligated.
But if someone comes to you and says, and I'm trying, I got to be careful with this because I don't want to. If someone came to me and said, I think Griffin, I want to make it abundantly clear what I'm about to say. I don't think Griffin has sexually assaulted anyone. But if someone came, no, let's not make jokes about that.
Sure.
If someone came to me and said that, and my response was just like, yeah, I don't care, then I shouldn't be in any leadership position.
Okay, but that's I don't think they would ever say that. I think you're being
that's the
disrespectful to them now.
I don't think they would, no.
I don't think they would ever say, I don't care. And I don't think they would say, he's a great kicker, leave it alone. I don't think they'd say that.
That's why I'm saying, does it matter? It matters if at some point down the line, we get and there's an email trail, there's a text
trail. Now that
trail,
matters. I would agree with
something like that suggests that they were told exactly what was going on. Exactly.
Okay.
And then you can't be in a leadership position in any organization.
Except
the government, of course.
Watch yourself now.
Right.
You'll be getting, they'll be coming after you.
I know.
I would agree with that. But I don't think any of it matters as it relates to whether or not he can stay on the team or not. None of it matters. He has to go. If the Ravens knew or didn't know, it doesn't matter in relation to him staying on the team. He has to go.
I feel that way. Well, because there's still the everything's. Yes, I think you're right.
Let me preface that by saying, if it's true,
right, and
I hate to even.
It's more and more difficult.
We've learned, obviously, in our lifetime, the two most famous cases are the lacrosse and the Richard Jewell.
Right.
We've learned to be able. We have to say that at the end.
Right. Correct.
If it's true,
we have to use allegedly. We have to.
Right. And so if it's true,
right,
and at some point the Ravens are going to have to make that call.
Or the NFL will make it for them.
Well, you could tell Eric yesterday was already.
And I've said all along, there is some other outcome here that I don't think they'll. I don't think it's what they're going to do.
I know what you're saying. Right.
But there's always been this second theory, like this second that people around the league have floated to me that if the NFL hands down a lengthy punishment,
the Ravens will go, boy, that's such a shame.
And then the Ravens can say, let's find out if we have a kicker for 8 weeks. Let's spend 8 weeks figuring out if we have a kicker, and then
his best case scenario would be the famous offered plea. I'm not going to admit that I'm guilty, but I'll go ahead and admit that the evidence that's being bandied about definitely would find me guilty. That would be his best scenario.
Well,
to basically say, look, I didn't do this, but all this stuff that you guys got on me sure does look like you got me.
It seems bad. The best scenario for him, and it feels like using these words doesn't feel right. The best scenario would have been tell his attorney to try to reach out to literally every one of these people, offer them an amount of money that makes them decide they have no interest in talking to anybody else.
Okay, but what's
that's an awful lot of people that we're talking about at this point.
Okay, but also
and that's presuming that these are the only people that.
But what's that do?
That makes it so the NFL can't punish him.
Okay, but it doesn't mitigate anything that he did.
It doesn't mitigate. It doesn't mitigate public opinion. But what it might mitigate is the NFL's ability to punish him. And if the NFL can't punish him, then even if the Ravens release him, it makes it more practical for another team to say, hey, this was a long time ago. We had nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah.
He
can't.
The NFL didn't punish him.
He can't be here.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
We should flip over to something else.
You wanna? Oh, was that a really attempt? That was by your standard, even by your standards.
You didn't think that was good?
That wasn't it.
I thought that
wasn't it. CIAA.
Because you know what happens when you flip me over, don't you?
CIAA tournament is underway. Whoa. It's underway. Shut up.
That's right. Baltimore's welcoming the excitement of the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament at CFG Bank Arena from February. Started yesterday. It's running through Saturday the 1st. Get your tickets. They are available now at Ticketmaster.com. Elizabeth City State and Johnson C. Smith just went to half. Maybe an upset brewing. City State. Yeah, Elizabeth City State up by 2 at halftime over at CFG Bank Arena right now, where the Food Lion CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament is running through Saturday. Get your tickets over at Ticketmaster.com.
All right, which segment do you want to do?
Well, I can't do Robbins Racing because I haven't played.
You can't. He really meant it when he canceled. I can't believe.
Well, I can't do it.
A resident gearhead canceled.
I haven't followed anything.
There's a question. You're the guy.
But I'm ready to go with the NBA.
Who won the race this week?
That's what I'm saying. I haven't followed it. I was in Florida.
Who won the
with
Daytona 500?
Don't even get me started there.
Right.
Don't even Byron. But I wasn't around. I was in Florida.
All right, here we go. It's time.
We're doing NBA.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Said he wasn't doing rubbish. Do you think there was a third segment that was in play? Introduce a new one this week.
TGL today.
No, pass.
I didn't even watch that.
You?
I know.
What did you have going on? What did you bet on last night that you weren't watching?
I didn't even watch. I didn't watch it. Cats.
It's time for NBA
I had
Corner.
Pasternak with 2 goals. Thank you very much.
Oh, look at that. Yep. It's time for NBA Corner now to tell you the latest in the world of the association. He is Drew Forrester.
Yes, indeed. Great night last night for Doncic.
Just reading it off his phone.
No. As he had a trip.
You can see.
No. Is he York, PA weather?
Okay.
As he
he did have a triple-double, you're right.
He had a triple-double last night as the Lakers defeated the Mavericks of Dallas in their first game against their former scoring star. And the final on that one, 107-99, I believe.
That sounds right. Yeah. Yes, that sounds right.
Golden State with a big win last night, also over the Charlotte Hornets. Blasted them.
That was the big story.
Blew them out. And there's lots of other stuff going on in the league. The league is moving into we're almost into March.
Yeah.
And it's starting to get, fast and furious, right? Lots of games, the standings. Wemby's out for the year.
Mike Francesa doing this segment. There's lots of games. And some teams are winning, and other teams are losing.
That's for sure.
Half of them are winning.
They've got those players.
They've got these games. They got these games. He's got these games coming up.
Some of them aren't as good as they used to be.
Right. Well, but anyway, the Cavaliers still rolling along. 48 wins for them on the year, 10 losses, and that's without Lenny Wilkins, who no longer plays for the team
for a minute.
Celtics 42-16. No, not because of Bill Russell.
No,
but the Celtics and the surprise, the resurgence of the New York Knickerbockers, 37-20 on the year, and rolling along. And they don't even need Mark Jackson anymore.
That's true.
They
still have Willis Reed.
They're playing great. On the outside looking in, by the way, right now the Brooklyn Nets.
Name a Brooklyn Nets player.
Vince Carter.
There you go. You know what? When he's right, he's right.
Right. You told me to name one.
I'm sorry.
Kevin Durant.
You know what? That's 100% accurate.
Correct.
Well done.
Right. I mean,
I'm giving it to you.
Ask and ye shall receive. Right. You're not talking to an NBA novice here.
I'm sorry. This is NBA Corner.
The Wizards finally did reach the 10-win mark, and if you were in D.C.
Who knew Marcus Smart still played in the NBA?
If you were in D.C., you were there for the parade. So 10-47 for the Wizards. Over in the West, how about this? Speaking of surging, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, they've been good all year.
But they now only have 11 losses.
Right.
And the Cavaliers have 10.
Right.
The Thunder, of course, used to be in Seattle. For those of you who don't know.
That's a great point.
The Grizzlies, Memphis, by the way, used to be in Vancouver.
Thank you.
They are 38-20 and buzzing along. And now, all of a sudden, here they come.
They beat the Suns suck.
Here come the Lakers. Don't look now, but here come the Lakers, 35-21 on the year, and rolling along. And they, you know what? They don't even need
Kurt Rambis.
They don't even need James Worthy anymore.
Yeah.
So settle in. It's going to be a lot of fun coming down the stretch here.
Smush Parker
in the NBA. Great basketball in store for you here in the final 2 months.
That's our guy doing NBA.
Well, you learned something today.
I got to tell you, this segment even better than I expected.
Yeah? Well, it has to be. It's like the opera. How was the opera? It was okay. It wasn't terrible. Yeah, it was terrible, but it was better than I thought it was going to be.
Better than I expected.
Right.
100%.
Right.
Oh, God, that is the latest from the world in the NBA.
Right. That's what we used to always say about Jerry Coleman's show.
Yeah.
It's better than you thought it was going to be.
Better than you expected.
It has to be.
100% it has to be. No question.
What's up, Jerry?
Where's he? Oh, no, he's doing the podcast with Mike Bordick. That's what Jerry's up to these days.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Hey, golf show this Sunday.
I heard you're back in the habit.
Back, as the Aerosmith once said, back in the saddle again.
A lot of strange things going on with the scheduling over there.
I haven't seen it.
It's just like I looked at the schedule for next week, and they suddenly had Rita and I on from 2 to 4 on Sunday, and I didn't know how to politely tell them, like, no, that's not the time that we're going to be wandering over.
I don't even get the schedule.
You do,
which is weird.
You just don't. You don't check that email. It gets sent to your corporate email. You don't check that.
Oh.
You wouldn't know how to access.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's the issue. When you go in to do the show,
I have my
Sunday,
assistant do that.
You're gonna have to have whoever's producing the show sign in.
Who is
It's not Griffin.
Griffin
no longer works there.
Oh, you got who?
Yeah. Well, there was an incident.
What happened there?
We can talk about it off the air.
Oh, jeez.
Plausible deniability, bud.
Who's my guy? Is it still Caleb?
No. Hasn't been Caleb for, I don't think, 2 years.
Caleb's gone?
He's been gone.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Ben Hall?
Why don't we talk about it off the air?
Oh, no. Everybody got canned, huh?
Why don't we talk about it
You
off
and I are the only ones left.
That's it.
Hey, 6 to 10. Welcome in. I'm not doing it again. I can tell you that.
That guy's there.
I'll do it the opposite way.
Yeah, you'll do 10 to 6?
No. I'll let you do it.
Oh, okay.
And then I'll come in.
Right.
I'll come in hungover.
You'll
and asleep like you used to
drop
do.
F-bombs.
Yeah, I'll do it that way, but I am not running the show.
Do that whole thing.
I'll just be the backup second baseman.
By all means. All right. When we come
they get pretty girls, too.
Yeah.
The backup second baseman gets pretty girls, too.
I don't. Anyway, we come back in. Rapheal Davis. There's a big game tonight. Maryland, Michigan State. Big game.
Let me tell you.
You got a feeling?
I do have a feeling. Seriously.
Big game.
Huge game.
Big game.
And they've been kind of wanting one of these all year.
Yeah, they could really use a win like this. No doubt. They could really
No question.
You ready to make your?
Yeah. Michigan 70, Michigan State 74, Maryland 71.
Yeah, there we go. All right, when we come back in, Rapheal Davis, Big Ten Network, will join us. He's been very bullish about Maryland for a while now. We'll talk to him about it next. Drew's here, Glenn Clark Radio.
You're going to love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. Learn more at DriveEasyMD.com.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at CostasInn.com.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Coming back in here with Glenn and the other guy, Garrett, whatever his name is. You know who they are.
Back in here on GCR. Drew is very excited about the start of the Baltimore Catholic League playoffs.
Cowardall St. Francis Friday night.
Had the MIAA last weekend. Now the Catholic League playoffs. Last night I know was the Baltimore County Championship. If you missed anything or you want to know more about any of it, go to countysports.zone. That's countysports.zone. Proudly sponsored by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com for everything you need to know about postseason basketball. Every team, every level, every bracket. You got it all covered. countysports.zone is where to find all of that. Rapheal Davis will join us in just a minute. We've got Would You Rather Wednesday scenarios up. I think it got gobbled up because we had a guest early on, and I posted it about the same time, so I'll try to retweet those at some point. But you can get in for Would You Rather Wednesday. Someone who participates will win a $30 gift card to Glory Days Grill just for responding. That's all you got to do at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.com/Glenn Clark Radio, and you can be registered to win. I do want to say I'm going to give you 30 seconds so we can talk about it.
Love it.
So the Capitals lost last night. Ovechkin did score another goal. He's 12 away now.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when you would try to get me to talk about this topic, and I'd be like,
"What topic?"
The Ovechkin's chasing the record.
Oh.
And I'd be like, "It doesn't matter. Even if it wrecks you, you got to let him do it." It is crazy to me that it's gone the exact opposite way, right? Like it's gone. I thought this would be a blight. Like, hey, the team's gonna suck.
The team's great, and he's playing great.
Yeah, it's gone exactly the opposite of
how. I would say I sort of kind of agree with you. I assumed this was going to be a down year for them, and that the record would be the only thing anybody cared about. I assumed that too, and I even went as far as saying that. Like they don't care if the team's any good. What they're going to try to do is capitalize and market this record scoring chase.
Mm-hmm, yep.
But it is the opposite.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The team is phenomenal. Yeah. They made some great moves in the offseason. He's obviously having a great year. Unless something wacky happens, he's going to break the record.
Yep, no doubt about it.
This
all
year,
right.
I mean.
All right,
yeah.
I gave it 30 seconds. That's all I was giving it. Now,
be quiet.
Big game tonight in College Park, 6:30. Maryland, Michigan State.
Michigan State by 21.
Would you say? I thought you were #1 fan now. I thought you were the guy.
Oh, man.
I thought you were Mr. Terp. What happened to you? Wearing the turtle head.
I am.
You don't have a good feeling about this tonight? I think this guy's good.
We're good.
This
They're
guy
not beating us in College Park.
This guy has been bullish about Maryland for a long time. I feel like a third of his tweets have been about how good Maryland is. He is, of course, former Purdue guard, and you see him on the Big Ten Network. He's Rapheal Davis, and he's with us this morning here on GCR. Rapheal, it's Glenn and Drew in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us this morning.
Oh, no, I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a really good season for Maryland.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to talk to you guys.
Was there a moment for you with, it hit you? Like, this team has something – obviously, it's the starting five, right? Like, was there a game, a performance, anything where, it struck you – this team is really good and has the chance to be particularly special?
Well, no, it struck me last season because outside of the Big Ten Network, I do a bunch of games, a bunch of the high school games at the prep school level. So you think the highest level of prep school basketball, I call some of those games. So I got the chance to call Derik Queen's games in high school. So he was at Mount Bird playing with Cooper Flagg and those guys. I probably called about 5 to 10 of his games. So once I saw Derik Queen commit to Maryland, and then I saw Julian Reese was going to stay, I said, well, oh, damn, they have the best front court in the country. Just because I knew how talented Derik Queen was. I knew Derik Queen was a first-round draft pick. It was just about his motor transitioning into college. But Coach Kevin Boyle down in Florida does an amazing job. He runs that program like a college system. So I knew Derik Queen would be ready, and I just thought it was a thing where Coach Willard just had to go out there and get shooters to provide space for him. And that is exactly what he did. And I'm a guy that I look at the transfer portal a little differently. I think it's easier for a guy to come from Belmont, to be a guy at Belmont, to average 17, 18 points, for that guy to then transition into Maryland and still be a guy that can score the ball, compared to going out in the transfer portal and maybe getting a senior or a fifth-year senior that averaged maybe 12 points or 11 points at another high major and expecting that player to go from 11 points to 15 points. It just doesn't happen like that, if that makes sense. So you see Jacoby Gillespie, get him in the portal. I thought that was a great pickup. And then I know Coach Weber really well, and Coach Weber is a guy that coached Selton Miguel and recruited Selton Miguel. So I knew he was a tough guy, and I knew he could guard. So then Riley Rice was the only piece I was unsure about because he didn't play. And then I thought Deshaun would get better. I thought Geronimo would get a little bit better. And for those guys, like they talk about Maryland's depth and it's not being there, but they have so much firepower within those five guys and you could put Selton Miguel on the bench and start Deshaun Harris-Smith, and Maryland would still have the best starting five in the conference. Like they have so much firepower in that lineup to where you just need Deshaun, you need Jordan, you need Tafaro to come in and make energy plays. Come in and hustle. Come in and guard. Let your production not be in the scoring column, but be in the rebound column. Be for Jalen Young, be in the steals column. So I think Coach Kevin Willard is not getting discussed enough for Coach of the Year. What he was able to do in the transfer portal. And I mean, getting Julian Reese to stay. A lot of dudes would have bolted town and left, especially when they see Derik Queen coming in and understanding that role was going to decrease. I mean, Julian Reese goes from the second option last season with Jameer Young to now he's the fifth option offensively, the cleanup guy, and he's mastered that role. And it's been a lot of fun. I guess you guys can tell I'm a big Terps fan this year.
You can tell. There's no doubt about that. I want to follow up on a couple of things that you brought up there, Rapheal, because look, yes, to your point, the depth has been the thing that for as excited as everyone is, people will still say, but do you worry that catches up to them at some point? And I know the context would be an injury could be really harmful to one of those five guys. Foul trouble could be harmful. But can I assume that you're not really – these are young guys. I can't think that you're really worried about their legs. It seems like in the NCAA tournament the bench tends to get shorter anyway. What is the concern level for you about the depth for Maryland?
I don't have a concern level because, you think about it, you get to the NCAA tournament, and even games during the season, I asked you a question. Would you guys, if you could, I don't know if you've seen a Coach Kevin Willard practice, but I'm sure you could imagine it. Would you rather play 35 minutes in the basketball game or sit in a 2.5-hour practice with Kevin Willard?
Right.
I think that's an easy choice. So guys, we give these kids so much, and then we call them soft. We give them so many excuses, but then we say the game is soft now. These dudes don't want to work. But you go out there and you got to play 35 minutes on a Tuesday. Come on, that's you flying around, you eating steak and lobsters. Come on, that's not tough for those guys to do compared to going to 4 2.5-hour practices, sitting through film, lifting weights. So I'm not concerned. And then you look at that Iowa game, the way Iowa, I believe that you get 90 points and Julian Reese scores 4. Julian Reese was in foul trouble. So Jordan Geronimo was big time in that game. So like I said, they have enough in their backcourt to where they're not relying on one guy. They've had, in that Iowa game, you had different stretches where Selton Miguel got them started. Then in that second half, Rodney Rice had an 8-0 run by himself. And then Jacoby made good plays. And then it was Derik Queen's turn. So, they're not necessarily just going to one guy. If one guy gets in foul, you look at Purdue, you could say the same question about Purdue. If Braden Smith gets hurt, the season is over. But if Jacoby Gillespie gets hurt, you still have a chance with Maryland. You know what I mean? They're not depending on one or two guys. They have 5 guys that can go get you 25 points. And then when you have guys that play hard and Geronimo and Gapari and Young and dudes that can maximize that role, it helps you. But then also I look at Maryland, and it doesn't bother me as well because they guard you. They don't depend on one guy offensively, but they can beat you in a 60 to 65 game because they guard you and they can rebound the ball at a high level. They have the talent level, they have the skill level, but then they also do the little things that teams like a Northwestern would have to do, or teams like say Michigan State. They do all the things that Michigan State does when it comes to defend at a high level. They're right there. They rebound at a high level. They get out in transition. They get to the free throw line. But then you add on Derik Queen is the NBA lottery pick. You add on that all 3 guards shoot over 37% from 3. And then Julian Reese is the all-conference center. That's what you want. I don't know. I guess Coach Willard could – he could put one of those guys on the bench to prove that he has depth. Because if you, like I said, you start Deshaun and you take one of those guys out of the lineup, I'm still taking Maryland's 4 over anybody in the conference. So I'm not really. And then you look at teams like Wisconsin, you look at teams like Ohio State when they were making those runs 10 years ago. that Mata, Bo Ryan, they were only playing 6, 7 guys. And they only had probably 3 contributors. You look at that Wisconsin team that went so deep, went to the national championship. It was Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, Nigel Hayes. Right. They didn't get production from anybody else in that roster. So Maryland has 5 of those guys. You know what I mean? So I think they're in good position.
Well, here's the deal now. I was going to do 100. I'm going to ESPN. I'm going to my betting thing. It's 1,000 on Maryland tonight after hearing you, Raphael. 1,000.
I'm a closeted Maryland fan. My mother's from Washington D.C.
I got
so
you.
My entire family lives in the DMV. So I've always watched the Terps, and I'm excited because when Maryland's rocking.
Why didn't you go there then?
Right? Yeah. How did we screw that up? Yeah.
All right. So let's put our Tom Izzo hat on. He calls you up today, brings you into the locker room, and says, "How are we beating these guys tonight? What's Michigan State? What would the game plan be for you?"
Being Tom Izzo helps.
Yeah, right. Being Tom Izzo helps.
Yeah.
Now, how do you self-scout Maryland? How do you beat them tonight?
I say you have 4 bigs. You have Zapala, you have Carson Cooper, you got Jackson Kohler, Xavier Booker. So with those 4 bigs, you have 20 fouls. So I say use all 20 fouls. And that's the way you can wear Derik Queen and Julian Reese out. You can wear those dudes out in the front court by just hitting them with different bodies, bigger bodies, giving them different looks. I mean, you put in Jackson Kohler, that's a completely different guard than Carson Cooper. So I think you got to attack them that way, make those guys guard, but then your guards have to guard. You got to make this a game where if I'm Michigan State, I don't want this to get up and down. I don't want to get Rodney Rice and Jacoby Gillespie in a transition battle, although that's Michigan State's deal. I would want this to be a half-court grinded-out game, possession to possession. So I would say Michigan State's keys always rebound, take care of the basketball, but it's going to be a thing where they're going to really have to guard the perimeter. The bigs are going to get what they get, but you cannot let Selton Miguel, Jacoby Gillespie, and Rodney Rice have their way. If they go for 20, you've got to tell your guards they got to take upwards 17, 18 shots to get that 20. So it's a tough task. It's a tall task, especially going on the road. But if I'm Michigan State, I'm getting to the free throw line a bunch. I'm putting Julian Reese and Derik Queen in a lot of ball screen action. I'm making those dudes guard. And then I'm attacking defensively Maryland's perimeter.
Rapheal,
all right, well, now I'm changing my bet.
Yeah, right now he's going the
now
other
you got
way.
me taking Michigan State.
Michigan State is tough, man. Michigan State is really, really good.
No doubt.
And it's Tom Izzo at the end of a season.
Real quick, what's your assessment sort of overall of the conference? It's been kind of weird, right? Like Purdue, great start. They've lost a couple that maybe you didn't think they'd lose. Illinois, great start. Now they've lost a few. Oregon just went into Wisconsin and won. The league's kind of weird.
I mean, yeah, the league is up and down, and I think I still think it's one of the best leagues in the country. I mean, you look at how the SEC started, and you look at how it's faring out now. I mean, you look at Texas 5-9 in the conference. You look at Georgia. I mean, I think they're like 5-10 in that conference. Oklahoma was once a top 15 team, and now Oklahoma is 4-10 in the SEC. So I think through conference play, you take your ups and downs, and I think in this year's Big Ten, compared to when I played, and I was this team. Like, I mean, my sophomore year at Purdue, I know Matt Painter is flying high now, but we finished last place in the Big Ten. So we were the doormat. So teams would come to play with Purdue, and they knew they were getting the win. In this year's league, it's just none of that, really. You have to bring your best every single game. You see Minnesota beating people. You see Washington got Maryland early on this season. So every night is a task. I think this league, right now, it has the most pros I think is the Big Ten has had in a long time, and I think this is the best freshman class that the Big Ten has had probably since 1991. And I know the league is bigger and whatnot, but it's a lot of pros, a lot of talent. Different guys can beat you. Teams have stepped up and showed they can win. No team has went without that 2-3 game losing streak this season. Look at Purdue right now; they've lost 4 in a row. So I think this year is one of the better league years that we've had in this conference. The Big Ten championship race is still wide open, and we have 2 weeks left to go. So it makes for a crazy Big Ten tournament. But I've been happy with the product that the Big Ten has put out on the court this season.
Rapheal Davis, last one for you. I know the NCAA tournament is a crapshoot, right? And it's a matchup, and things can go. But when you look at a team that has a starting 5 that is all like that. Do you see this being a Maryland? Like, a lot of the people are like, hey, can this be a Sweet 16 team? I think we're now starting to ask the question of, like, is this a team that could make an even deeper run if all 5 of these guys are clicking and can stay on the floor together?
Yeah, like I said, like you only need 3. Like you need 3. You need, say Jacoby goes for 20, Derik Queen goes for 17, and say Shelton makes 5 threes and gives you 15. Like that's enough. And then the other guys give you 8, and then you get production from guys off the bench. Like I think Maryland, like I've been saying all season, Maryland could be a Final Four team, and that's not even saying a lot. You look at the landscape of college basketball right now. They're tough, they're big, they're tough, they're big, they're physical, they rebound, they take care of the ball, they all shoot it from deep, they can get out in transition, they have pros. I mean, you look at the teams that have won the national championship, and you look at their numbers, Maryland fits in that category. When you look at being a team that's top 25 on offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, you look at a team that has multiple pros, and I don't mean just NBA pros. Like you have, like Jacoby Gillespie is going to play basketball professionally for a long, long time and make a lot of money doing it. No matter if it's in the NBA or if it's in the overseas in the high Euro leagues and things of that sort, Rodney Rice could be a player that could be a potential Big Ten Player of the Year in a couple seasons. So I think they have more than enough. I think Rodney Rice is an NBA player. He's just young right now. So I think when you have this much talent and you max it with that much toughness, and then you mix the leadership, I think that Northwestern loss in Chicago really helped this team, because there was a point where Julian Reese really dug into Derik Queen. Like he yelled at him, like he got into him. And Derik Queen responded. And this team kind of gotten closer since that loss. And I think they match up well with anybody. They have 3 guards that can guard every single position. Like you look at certain teams around the conference, you see teams try to hide people, or you see teams try to put people in the mix. Maryland doesn't have to hide anybody defensively. And then Derik Queen, as a freshman, he can guard you. So I honestly think Maryland's a team that could be anyone in the country. I mean, I don't think they will be scared of anyone. And I think their bench is enough. I think Geronimo is a NCAA tournament level athlete. I think Tafari Gapari is an NCAA tournament Final Four athlete. And sometimes that's what you need. You need those guys to maybe give you 4 points. If you get 4 points from Tafara, 4 points from Geronimo, and they both give you 5 rebounds, I mean, that's all the depth you need. So I'm really excited for Maryland to finish out this season. I think they just had to build time in to kind of take their lumps, to kind of build and gel together. I think and now they're at the point where they're rocking and rolling. And Derik Queen could, not just the freshman of the year, I think he could be, if he has a strong finish to this season, he could potentially be player of the year in the Big Ten. And I don't look at any other team in the league and say they have more talent than Maryland and can make a deeper run.
All right. When we seeing you next, Rapheal?
I'm on air tonight. I actually have the Michigan State Maryland
Nice.
game.
We love that.
I'm getting all my practice in before tonight.
I love that.
You
so you'll be tuning in at Big Ten Network tonight and seeing Rapheal Davis. We love that, man. Hey, what else? I know it's on Twitter at Rapheal Davis. Anything else that we can plug for you, man?
Oh, no, I have a
I'm sorry, Rapheal Davis 3. I apologize. Rapheal Davis 3. Make sure I get it right.
No, I appreciate that. People don't need to go follow me. They'll just be mad at my tweets. But
not Maryland fans.
I have a youth foundation actually right now. We're raising funds for our free spring break basketball camp. It's in the inner city in my hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we normally have over 100 kids come to camp. Each kid, they get a free basketball, they get a free T-shirt. We give them lunch, and it's not just a basketball camp where you're coming to hoop. We bring in speakers from doctors and lawyers and professionals to give the kids that may not. Some kids are not going to go play ball, not in college, but not even in high school. And those kids, when they're in 6th grade, 5th grade, even younger, they need goals. They need something to see. So when they get to high school and they get cut, they don't just throw their lives away. You know what I mean? So we bring in professionals. So we're raising funds for our spring break camp, and we're raising funds for our college trip that we're taking this spring. So if you want more information about that, you go to RaphealDavisBasketball.com to learn more or donate or be a part of what we're doing. And we hope to one day bring it to the DMV because, like I said, my grandmother was murdered in D.C., and it's a thing where I'm passionate about giving back to kind of help prevent things like that at an earlier age. So I appreciate you guys letting me say that.
Man. That's awesome. All right, brother, appreciate you. Thanks for spending the time with us this morning. Look forward to seeing you tonight, man.
I appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
Rapheal Davis, Big Ten Network, with us here on GCR. All right, let's.
I mean, he might as well wear the turtle head.
He's been. I'm telling you.
Just wear the turtle head.
He has been.
It makes you look like amateur night.
The team. Me? I'm not even the Maryland guy on the show anymore. By the way, is everything okay? Are you firing off the nuclear codes? Like, I don't want to interrupt you.
No, I'm good.
You come in here complaining about we booking guests. You clearly don't have the time for us. You got stuff going on.
I've got a daughter at school who doesn't have a ride.
Well, how does that happen? Who's responsible for that? My favorite part is when he just ducks back out. When I'm trying to have he's just like, "Yeah, I'm good. You keep going on with whatever you're doing. I'll be back. I'll be back here. I don't want to get in your way." How does that happen?
The kid went home sick. These kids, man.
So that means that you've got to be the.
So now all of a sudden it's on me.
You've got to do the one. Now, what if you had plans today? What would
I do.
Oh,
that's the problem.
Is it to play golf?
No, we got practice.
Oh, you got practice.
We got stuff.
Play golf.
Well, can she go to practice?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Yeah, right. Well, that doesn't seem all that difficult.
I don't know that I want my daughter necessarily around.
Now wait a second. I thought you've got nothing but good young men over there.
I do.
I thought that was what you had over there.
It's not them I'm worried about.
Oh, no! You think she might poison the? It's gonna be the downfall of the team.
One boy said, "You're kind of cute," and that was all she ever needed to hear.
Oh boy!
Oh yeah!
No.
Oh yeah!
Oh no!
That's all she needed to hear.
Oh boy! Well,
it's all good.
I
Michigan State by 9.
Hey, there you go! Dynamite! You came in here like a ball of fire today, and boy did it start falling apart. All right, quickly. Would you rather?
Well, this comes out of nowhere. My day's going great. Everything's going fine. We're doing well, and all of a sudden I get this text.
There was something that happened to me the other day. Like
it's amazing when you're a parent how your whole world stops, and you're like, okay, I got to figure this out.
This is my problem now, right? Because you're the parent. You don't have a choice.
I got to figure out.
This is the way that it works.
She can't get a ride home. How am I going to go get her? How am I going to get to practice? How am I getting her to Pine Ridge for her golf? Like it's amazing. So, anyway, I'm back.
Yeah.
I told her, figure it out yourself.
There we go. That's how you solve it. That's called parenting.
I said, this is a lesson for you.
Yeah, right?
You created this issue.
Get yourself a ride.
You're the one that wanted to ride over there with her.
Right? You figure it out.
Oh, gosh.
You figure out how you're handling
Hey, how about that
today.
8th inning uprising yesterday by the Birds? 8th inning uprising yesterday.
How would I know?
8-7.
You're paying attention. Good
Brad
for you.
Field Jr. with a homer.
You're betting on that, too?
The games does the ball go in the air?
Fair enough. Would you rather Wednesday? Get your responses in at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Facebook.
I'm going to give you some winners tonight in hockey.
Please do. Number one, would you rather? You won a radio contest. Now, kids, radio.
I saw
was
Hart
a thing
once. I won tickets
to,
once to see Hart.
I won tickets to an HF festival once.
Did you really?
Radio. I did. 100%.
I won tickets to go see Hart at the old Capitol Center.
Won anything else on the radio?
WLPL, which is now. Maybe no, it's not POC. What was WLPL? It was like 92 point. What's 92 point?
WERQ. 92.3.
Yeah, that used to be WLPL.
Okay.
Yeah.
You won a radio contest
that
will give you 2 lower level tickets to every Capitals home game.
Wow.
Until Ovechkin breaks the record.
Okay.
Or 2 sweet tickets to any one Orioles game and any one Ravens game for the next 12 months.
Oh, I'll take the Caps tickets. I'll take the Caps. Now,
obviously,
he could break it on the road.
That's
obviously,
the wild card
and then
here.
You're just at a Capitals game, for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Which is that a bad thing?
Wild card. Yes, for me. I mean, for me, I have no interest. But that's the wild card in this for the people that are making that choice. Is that you go all in on that and say, well,
what radio station do I need to listen to? This is a good deal.
Yeah, it is. You should listen. This is the way the radio used to work. You used to be able to do things like this. You could get all sorts of. You might get a car on the radio. Now, I don't know that they have anything like at all. Are we giving
concert tickets?
We giving anything away? No. Okay.
T-shirts?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Kind of.
All right, let's do this tonight real quick while people are listening.
Why would they start now?
If you want
to play, would you? This is. I deserve this. Can I be honest? I deserve it.
How many more home
games?
Take
Sanderson and Scheifele to score goals.
Isn't he a golfer?
No, that's Scheifele.
Oh.
Take Sanderson for Ottawa and Scheifele for the Jets.
Sanderson was a hell of a wrestler, though, if I remember correctly.
Take those two to score tonight.
Damn good.
Great
wrestler.
coach.
You got to take them in the same game, so they're going to have to score. They're both going to have to score. All right, and then Devils at Colorado tonight.
Oh boy,
interesting. Let's do this.
Wasn't that the Stanley Cup
Let's
final
go
one
with
year?
Bratt, B-R-A-T-T.
It is a Bratt summer.
And Rantanen to both.
I've heard of him.
To both score in the game. Bratt for the Devils, Rantanen for the Avalanche.
And if this doesn't hit, then you
lose your money.
I usually just bet on guys named Kachuk.
You lose your money.
That's
right.
All of them. Just any of them. Suddenly there's a Kachuk playing for Washington, and he's just like, I don't know, man. I'm gonna bet on money for him. Bet money for him to score.
To fight people.
Number 2, would you rather the NFL will allow you to make the final decision about one rule change this offseason? The other will not change the rest of your life. Would you rather ban the tush push or keep it, but make it so that 5-yard penalties don't carry automatic first downs?
You get to keep the tush push, but no longer do 5.
One or the other. One you get rid of, the other stays forever.
So if it's 3rd and 3.
No, it's 3rd and 30.
Okay, so 3rd and 30.
And you get a 5-yard penalty that the pass has carried an automatic first down, like a holding, something like that.
Holding's been
it no longer does.
I'd get rid of this tush push. It's terrible.
Loser talk.
Because you can't stop it?
Yeah,
it's just terrible.
Loser talk.
It's not really football.
Why isn't it really football? I'm pretty sure there are football players that are doing it.
It's stupid. I'd say get rid of that. But again, people are going to figure out a way to, if you say the running back has to be 3 steps away, the running back's just going to run into the back of the quarterback.
Well, I think that's what John Harbaugh's point was yesterday. Is like you can't really ban the tush push. You can't.
You're going to figure. Teams are going to figure out a way.
It's artificial to ban it. It's not artificial to do it. It's artificial to ban it. The argument is simply that no player would ever be allowed to touch a player, on one of their own teammates. But then what happens when that happens incidentally down the field? They just bump into each other. Do you have to throw a flag because they bumped into each other and the rule was you're not allowed to touch the other player?
Right. So how do you?
That's why I'd solve the actual.
How do you handle that? Right.
I'd get rid of the other thing.
Okay.
I'd get rid of it's nonsense.
I'd get rid of you.
These small penalties.
I'll get rid of 23. I'll get rid of the fumble through the end zone.
I would like to do that one too, but I thought that would be too wildly popular, so we couldn't put it on the list. And number 3, would you rather? Oh boy, we don't have time to really dive into this problem before we have a guest scheduled to join us. Would you rather spend the week living as Tony Martinez? Remember Tony? Tony's married to a member of the Ravens marching band.
Oh. Okay.
Or this story, I'm not sure.
Is that true, by the way, that story? I mean,
allegedly.
Right.
Allegedly.
Right, okay.
Or spend the week living as Ole Miss student Evan Solis.
No.
You familiar with old Evan?
Mm-mm.
Well, Evan's dating a lovely.
What's the third option?
Yeah, he's dating a lovely young lady named Mary Kate Cornett.
Okay,
you'd love her, Drew.
She is.
Mary Kate. Mary Kate is such an awesome name.
Is a looker.
Mary Kate.
This is Mary Kate. Yeah.
Oh my.
The problem is Mary Kate is very popular with another member of the Solis family. Oh. And according to the streets, according to the internet,
what?
She may have cheated on Evan.
Okay.
With Evan's father.
What?
Yeah.
Well, who you mad at? Who you?
I mean, it's a fair question.
Who are you mad at?
It's a fair question.
You can't be mad at the dad.
Right. Well, but he's still your dad. Like that's you still have to.
How is this all unfolded? How does this? How is this true?
According to the story, she came home early from the semester, went to a basketball game with the family, and drinks, dinner led to a whole situation.
And how did the kid find out?
Well, I think it became around town. It became. I think she.
Can I see her again real quick?
Yeah, right. You got to think about it. I understand. Well, that's the part of the story that I think people are struggling with the most is that apparently they may have reconciled. She and Evan. Despite that, Apparently, they may be back together.
And what's the third one of these?
Nope. You got to be one of the other. You got to live as one of these people.
Oh, boy.
I think, unfortunately, I wrote the question poorly, and it makes it there's an obvious answer. I think in realizing how I wrote the question.
You would rather be the Ravens cheerleader.
I disagree.
Oh, really?
I screwed this up.
Okay.
Chris gave this response. He said, "Dude, you're only this person for a week."
Okay.
So he's with her. You get to have a week of that.
Yeah, right.
And then and it's awkward. So I got to figure out a new way to write the question.
Okay.
Because he's right. Chris did figure out.
Yeah, I don't know how you blame the dad.
Well, I don't. Well, I mean, I think he's got.
I mean, at this point, you got to say to your son,
right?
You got beat, big boy.
Never forget.
Hey,
I say that to my kids all the time. I'm always going to win.
You know what?
I say that all the time. Don't do that.
Don't ever underestimate the old man.
What's the line in Step Brothers?
Oh,
she's had the old bull, now she wants the young stud.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. All right.
Other way around.
Anyway.
The young bull.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, don't ever underestimate the old man when I can still pull off.
God, man.
That's what you got to tell him.
What a story.
It's a learning experience for you there, kid.
What a story.
I brought you into this world. I can take you out of it.
100%. DrewsMorningDish.com.
Yep.
Fairways and Greens returns.
2 to 4. I mean, 4 to 6.
Yeah. Make sure you show up
4 to 6.
Time. 4 to 6 on Sunday.
I'm pumped up.
To talk about whatever the
and go Tigers. I'm going tomorrow night.
I'll
be there tomorrow night.
Take my family tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow night.
Having a good time.
Last time I went, they beat Monmouth by 100.
Do you want to stay and talk to Nendah Tarke?
121 points.
I thought you had to duck out. Do you want to stay?
I do. For like 3 minutes, and I got to go.
All right, very good.
But I was there when they beat Monmouth 150 to 60.
Big game tomorrow night at Towson. They've already locked up the number 1 seed in the CAA.
William Mary's good, though.
But William and Mary is very good. And 2, Towson's never won an outright CAA regular season title. They've shared a CAA title.
Right.
They need one more win in order to lock that up. They could do it tomorrow night. Joining us now.
They got it.
This man has stepped into a very it's weird how it worked out this year that when he came back that he's said, hey, we want you to come off the bench. But it's been an outstanding role for him. He's been having an incredible season. He is Nendah Tarke, and he is with us this morning here on GCR. Nendah, it's Glenn and Drew. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Appreciate you guys having me.
Man, it's good.
They've done all of this despite Pat Scarry.
Oh, would you settle down over there? We
kidding.
love that guy. We love that guy. Nendah, I just want to start with tomorrow night. There's going to be a great atmosphere. There's going to be a great crowd. You guys have a chance to do something that's never happened in Towson history. What has it meant to you to be part of this team, this season? And do you start to think about what that would be like tomorrow night to have huge crowd, everybody celebrating with you, the possibility of locking up a regular season conference title on your
own? Honestly, the season's been a roller coaster because we started out pretty bad. I think we were 4-8, went on a 6-game losing streak, and a lot of people wrote us off. But we know the guys we have in our locker room and the coaches we have in our locker room, and we knew if we just stuck with it, we were going to be good. In terms of the game tomorrow, I feel like we don't look too forward. We don't look too ahead. We kind of just, we stay where we are, and then I feel like that helps you stay humble and stay motivated in these moments, because when you're winning a lot, it's easy to be it's easy to get complacent, but we're just kind of in a spot where we know what we're playing for, but at the same time we have bigger goals at the end.
Yep.
So as long as we get better one day at a time, we can potentially reach that goal.
Nendah, you, I referenced, had to move into a different role this season after coming off the injury. Was it difficult for you? Were you frustrated at first? And how were you able to settle into the idea of, hey, it might not be the end of the world whether or not I'm one of the first 5 guys on the floor, because I know I'm still going to be a significant contributor to the team?
Yeah, I wasn't really upset. It was just different. I've never come off the bench before.
Right.
But honestly, I'm a team first guy. So we were struggling when I was in the lineup. Not necessarily because of me, but I wasn't playing well either. But it's just let's get a different look at this. See how things work when
we make a change, because you can't keep doing the same things expecting a different result. So, I came off and we started winning. So it's like, hey, why change it if it's working?
I get it, man. By the way, you guys didn't lose a game for a long time, so you definitely don't want to mess with anything when something like that is going on. Does it take I talk about this with relief pitchers in baseball. Does it take a different mindset? Do you prepare exactly the same way, or did you start to do things differently, not knowing exactly when you were going to be on the floor for the first time in a game?
In terms of preparation, it's the same, but now I got a little extra time on my hands. So
okay.
I can if I need to use the bathroom, when they're announcing starting lineups, I got time to do that. Or something, I got a little bit extra time on my hands.
I get
I
that.
can mess around with my brother or something. So, it's the same mindset, but it's just only part that kind of sucks is that first media. You don't get that first media. You got to come in after the first media, and your first media is the second media. So guys got their second win. You just kind of checking in. But other than that, it's cool. It's cool.
So with that in mind, we're chatting with Nendah Tarke from Towson here on GCR. With that in mind, do you feel like are you seeing things maybe in those first couple minutes of the game that then you're able to use, pick up on, hey, maybe I didn't notice this on film, but this guy's tendency, are you able to watch the game a little bit and use that to your advantage when you come in?
For me, it's more so I just can come in and be aggressive.
Yeah. There's
no real easing in or obviously let the game come to you, but now that I'm coming off, it's all right, when you get in, it's it's go time. As opposed to starting, sometimes it's you kind of start, and you got a lot of, obviously you have a lot of good players with you, so you kind of just ease into it a little bit more. But when you're coming off and you're meant to come off and be like a spark, you got to just come in aggressive and try to change the complexity of the game.
You mentioned your brother. It's been kind of cool, right? This is now the second brother that you've been able to play college basketball with. What is that like? Obviously, first it was Anthony, now with Mandela. What has that meant to you that you've been able to do this with both of your brothers now at two different locations?
It's cool. It's cool. I feel like I don't realize exactly how rare it is in the moment because I'm living in it. But sometimes when I just take a step back and I think, it's you know what, that's actually pretty cool. Something I'm gonna look back on and be I got to say that I played with both my brothers. Hopefully we can get him into more games. That's the goal. Because he can play, man. He can play. He's not he can play at this level for sure, without a doubt. And practice shows it. So I'm excited for him. I'm waiting for him to get his opportunity at some point, and I'll be rooting for him.
I appreciate the way you're saying it, though. It is your reality, right? So, that's just the way it goes. But it isn't something that a lot of people have been able to experience, right? It really is kind of a cool thing. Nendah, what did it take? You referenced that, and I know that injuries were a big part of it, maybe the biggest part of it. But what else clicked for this group after the struggles early on in the season, when things transitioned into conference play? What else clicked that allowed you guys to go off on 13 wins in your last 14 games?
Honestly, staying the course, staying with it, because it's easy to just splinter and point fingers when things aren't going right and going well. And the adversity that we went through is if we succumb to it, we were never going to bounce back as a team. But everybody in our organization is confident, and we knew our standards and we knew the level that we could play at. We just weren't playing at that level. And a lot of our games, man, we were in them late and we lost them. And those are coin flip games where if one or two things go differently, we win the game. And we were just on the wrong side of that a lot. So, we cleaned those things up. And all of our conference games have been pretty close, aside from the Monmouth one you referenced earlier. But yeah, we just find ways to win games late. And that's where we thrive.
How much do you feel like that benefits you as you move towards this? Like what you just said, because you won a lot of games. Like there was one that looked really hairy. It looked like maybe at the end you guys hadn't won. But like, how much do you think that helps moving towards the CAA tournament and the postseason, that you have all of this experience having to just figure it out, grind it out, figure out a way to win, and you've done it?
Yeah, I mean, we're so battle tested. You know, this is everyone's second year here, just about, and you know, we've been in a lot of tight games, a lot of close games where we've had enough experiences to learn from, where we're ready. We've seen it all. We were down 6 with a minute left at Drexel. We even when they came here, they had that buzzer-beating layup that, you know, they didn't get it off in time. But it's like those type of games that we've been in and the experiences that we've been in have really helped us, you know, and will help us down in CAA, because there were some games where we were down 6, down 7 in the last media, and we find ways to win. So, you know, and just having all those experiences, you know, even losing to Elon, it was another close game. We were winning, but it's another experience that we can learn from and use it when the tournament comes around.
You see, I actually think that was genius, right? Like, you don't want to carry the streak into the postseason. You don't want to have, that's too much weight. I've in my mind, I think guys did that purposely. Let's get rid of it now on a road game, and then we don't have to talk about it. We don't when these dummies pull us on the radio shows. We don't have to. We can just move on and just go win games. So in my mind, I actually think that was brilliant on your part, and we're just going to leave it at that. You don't have to tell me that I'm wrong. You can just move on. You reference, Nendah, that you guys, you know, have bigger goals, and I'm sure you've heard from a million Towson fans in your life about just how long the NCAA tournament drought is, and so I don't need to repeat it. I know you want to do it for you guys. Like, I understand it's not really about that. Like, if Towson had been to the last 20 NCAA tournaments, you would still want to do it for you. But what does it mean? What would it mean for you to deliver that for this entire fan base that has been waiting and desperately hoping to experience that?
I mean, it would mean a lot. It would mean everything. We work so hard as a team, and the fans come out and they're hostile and they're aggressive and they're supportive. So, you know, giving them that opportunity to feel proud of their team and to have that belief in their team is definitely something that, you know, we want to give. And obviously for ourselves too, but, you know, the community and everybody who watches, everybody who supports, we want to do it for them. Because at the end of the day, this opportunity doesn't come around very often.
There's no doubt, man. And this is a great opportunity for you to take care of it, and we can't wait to see it. Tomorrow night, Towson, opportunity to clinch the CAA regular season outright title as they take on William and Mary. Big-time game, 7 o'clock. There's a hockey jersey giveaway for the first 750 fans. I'm bringing my family. This is the game. This is the time to get out, support the Tigers. They're also at home Saturday, 4 o'clock for the annual Autism Awareness Day that I know is really important to Coach Scary as well. Nendah, where can Towson fans be giving you a follow on social media?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's just my first and last name, Nendah Tarke, and then I use Twitter, and it's at Nenders. Nenderss.
Give him a follow there. Dude, been awesome following you. You know, it's starting to Coppin and now to Towson. Can't wait to see what's next. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning, man. Best of luck the rest of the way. Go get him tomorrow night, all right?
I appreciate you, for sure.
Thanks, man. Nendah Tarke from Towson. Appreciate him taking the time for us this morning. And, yeah, really looking forward to being out there tomorrow night. Should be a really special, special atmosphere. And hopefully a lot of Towson fans make the trip down to D.C. the following week to create more of a festive and home court type advantage at the CAA tournament. When we come back in, we'll go over the report cards. The NFLPA report cards just came out, and I'll tell you exactly what kind of grades the Ravens got. Remember, it was 2 years ago that there was one that was quite staggering on this report card. We'll talk about that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Treat yourself and taste the Baltimore tradition that is the legendary Costas Inn. Hey, it's Stan the Fan Charles. For over 50 years, the Costas Inn has been a Baltimore original, dishing out their amazingly scrumptious, fat, award-winning crab cakes and steamed crabs. Every season is crab season at Costas, so make your plans now by calling 410-477-1975 and reserve your taste of heaven. Sit back, crack some crabs, and watch the Ravens chase down another title on Costas' 15 TVs. On Monday nights, Costas offers their half-pound jumbo lump crab cake with 2 sides for under $30, and there are nightly specials Monday through Friday. So head on down to the Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard or visit them at costasinn.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Glenn Clark and I sit down for a Q&A with Orioles owner David Rubenstein, discussing what he learned from his first year as owner, his goals both on and off the field, and his involvement in baseball decisions. Also inside, Brooks DeBose profiles new Oriole Tyler O'Neill, and we meet college lacrosse players from around the state. Press Box is available for free at over 500 locations throughout the region, including 60 Royal Farms stores, or you can read the entire issue online at PressBoxOnline.com, where you can also find great betting advice and the best daily coverage of the O's, Ravens, and Terps.
Need a trophy or award that's as unique as the achievement? Look no further than Crown Trophy. With locations in Owings Mills and Gaithersburg, they specialize in custom trophies, plaques, and medals for any occasion. From sports and academic awards to employee recognition and corporate gifts, visit crowntrophy.com today and let them help you create a lasting memory for your school, team, or business. Crown Trophy is a proud supporter of the Maryland Public Secondary Schools Athletic Association. crowntrophy.com.
One of the things that's definitely wrong with this country is that this dude still has a job somehow, some way. Glenn Clark.
All right, back in here on GCR. Thanks again to Nendah Tarke for joining us. Drew had to duck out. He's got to go tape a special, so enjoy that. All right, NFLPA report cards are out, just released. The Baltimore Ravens, not so bad. Okay. Not so bad. Ravens ranked 13th overall out of 32 teams. Last year, they were ranked 15th, so progress. Now, again, better to be good on the field than off the field, but, still, there's no reason why you can't be both. As far as the categories are concerned, the treatment of families, C+. I remember that being a surprising, based on everything that we've always heard, that was surprising last year when that was kind of a lower grade, C+ for treatment of families. Food dining area, a B. Nutritionist dietitian, B. Locker room, B-. I will say that even after expanding the locker room, it does feel like it's still kind of small, at the facility. It's hard to compare it because, admittedly, I have not gone into other locker rooms other than the Cardinals, and that was years ago, so I don't even know if that's the same.
Check their grades next, yeah.
What's that?
We'll check their grades next.
They have an F- for the locker room.
Oh, so maybe they haven't then.
Yeah, they might not have.
They must not. They must
the
not.
Cardinals, by the way, very, very bad grades. Very bad.
So we can at least say we're not
better
the
Cardinals. B- for the locker room, B- for the training room, B- for the training staff, B+ for the weight room. This one, B+ for the strength coaches.
Wow, all right.
Now, remember that changed 2 years
just
ago.
This year's. We don't see last year's grade. I guess
you can look it up. I don't remember. I don't.
I don't remember.
2 years ago
was
the
disastrous
one.
Alarming.
Yeah, that was an F 2 years ago. I don't remember what it was last year. Team travel, A-.
So this is technically the 2024 report card grades?
Yeah, for the 2024 season, yes. But they call it the 2025 report card.
Okay.
So I think you'd be looking for the 2024 report card. B, head coach, a B, for what it's worth. Ownership, and A. Now, you can pull out and do a little bit more of this sort of breakdown.
Yeah, Cardinals still had an F last year in locker room.
Yeah. So, for example, like if you go to treatment and families, the Ravens provide daycare during home games and a family room during home games. Players rate the post-game family area 7.6 out of 10, ranking them 14th out of 32 teams. The players say the team organizes family events several times a year, ranking of 21 out of 32. Players express a desire for better, more direct communication between the team and their families. So that might explain the C+. Head coach. 75% of Ravens players feel their head coach, John Harbaugh, is efficient with their time. A rank of 28 out of 32. So 27 teams say that they believe their head coach is more efficient with their time than John Harbaugh. And that kind of checks out to me. John Harbaugh eternally is a football is everything. We should always want to be out here. We should always want to be doing these things. Like, that kind of checks out. The players feel that Harbaugh is moderately receptive to feedback from the locker room on the team's needs, ranking him 25th out of 32 head coaches in the league. Now, to be fair, like, that's just the score, right? It's not like these players are saying this coach is more receptive than this. They're not. It's just taking all the scores and then saying that's where they came out to. Ownership was an A, for what it's worth. Owner Steve Bisciotti's average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities is 9.28 out of 10 from the Ravens players, a ranking of 9th of 32 owners in the league. The players feel Bisciotti significantly contributes to a positive team culture, a rank of 8th out of 32 teams. The players feel that Bisciotti is extremely committed to building a competitive team, a rank of 9th out of the 32 NFL owners. I'm going to guess that internally they're Steven disappointed that it's only 9th, right?
Yeah.
Like that's they want the perception to be that we constantly try to win.
Are you looking at who number 1 is then, or?
No, I'm just pulling out the individual grades for each team, or for the Ravens. For example, somebody shared, I'll try to pull it out, the Cincinnati Bengals. Hang on a second.
Uh-oh.
They got, for treatment of families, an F-, for food dining area an F. The response for treatment of families. The Bengals are one of only 3 teams that do not offer daycare during home games, and one of only 10 teams that do not offer a family room during home games. The Bengals are the only team in the NFL that fails to offer one of those 2 benefits. Food dining for the Bengals. The Bengals rate the taste of their team's food 4.82 out of 10, a ranking of 32nd out of 32. Jeez. They rate the freshness of their food 5.49 out of 10, a ranking of 32 of 32.
So they're just eating
the
Uncrustables
players
all day? Is that?
Rate their dining area 5.98 out of 10, ranking it 30 out of 32.
They got
the Bengals players wish that more meals would be provided throughout the week. The team does not provide 3 meals a day and is one of only 2 teams in the league that do not do so.
Jeez. Does it say who the other one is?
It does not.
You have to go rewatch Hard Knocks and pay closer attention to the Bengals.
That said, food is hang on a second, this is great. That said, food is an area around which the team has continued to improve.
Jeez, and they're still dead last and everything.
Last year, the Bengals began offering dinner on Wednesdays. Hey, 1 dinner a week. And this year, they began offering breakfast for players who come into the facility on their off day for additional training and work.
Good. Good. That's
not.
They got an A+ on the locker room though.
They got that going for them. Apparently, it's a nice big old locker room.
An A- on team travel.
Oh, the Arizona Cardinals, rough. Locker room. Hang on, I was gonna pull up.
The Jets got an F for the owner. That's the only ownership that got an F.
That's the only ownership that got an F. Did any head coaches get Fs?
Head coaches. Let's see. No, the lowest head coaching grades were Cs. There were 3 Cs handed out. They did the Jaguars, the Bears, and the Browns.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
so 2 of those change coaches, but the Browns getting a low head coach score. I wonder what that's.
The only thing the Browns got an A.
Hang on a second. The Browns. Let me pull up head coach.
Oh, like the explanations. The only thing they got an A in was weight room. Browns have a good weight room.
67% of Browns players feel their head coach Kevin Stefanski is efficient with their time, a rank of 29th to 32. The players feel that Stefanski is moderately receptive. That's the only 2 things that they're scoring apparently with head coaches: efficient with their time and receptive to locker room feedback, which he ranked 30th of 32 head coaches. Now, you can't help but wonder if they internally were like, dude, we can't play this cat.
Right.
And he was like, well, we have to.
I know, but also.
We have to.
Yeah.
Like, the ownership said we have to play him. We have to play him. So you wonder if that maybe factors into that disconnect about receptive to ideas. Is like they were like,
they disagree with his decision.
This guy sucks. Like, why are we playing him? Now, how many weeks did Deshaun play before he got hurt last year? 7? So maybe they did this. Maybe they took the report card like in week 7, right?
Yeah.
Like where after week 4, the players were just like, dude, do not stop putting that guy back out there. And he just was like, we don't have a choice.
But Jameson, you beat the Ravens. Yeah.
That did happen. That was a thing that occurred. Try to see if there was anything else that was particularly interesting.
Beat the Ravens and Steelers. Yeah.
So the only ownership F was the Jets. You said?
Yes. That was the only ownership.
What were the other? What were the lowest? Any?
The other low ownership.
Patriots
groups?
got a D.
Yeah, wow.
It's so funny, man.
5 teams got a D.
Hang on a second. I've talked about this a couple of times.
Steelers got a D.
Somebody brought that up, that the Bengals and Browns both had higher ownership grades than the Steelers, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But hang on, the Patriots thing. We were talking about this with Mike Vrabel, where everybody's like, well, of course Vrabel's going to go to New England. And all I had said was, for years, when we talk about the most stable organizations in football, in recent years we started throwing out the Patriots. And as I've talked about, like, you would never know because of your age, the Patriots were the laughing stock of the NFL before Tom Brady happened. I mean, like, they were the Cardinals. They were the Bengals. They were
the Browns.
They were much lower than the Browns. The Browns, despite the fact they hadn't won.
Well, the Browns
in
my lifetime, I guess.
Yeah, the Browns of the first era.
So you're saying swap the Patriots and Browns of like my perception,
more or less. Yeah. No, that's not true. That's not, because the Browns were never thought of that highly, but like they were still thought of as a fairly stable organization that was regularly competitive, was in the mix to win the AFC for a while. Like they were a stable organization. The Patriots were not. They were a laughing stock in the NFL. And a lot of people around football have told me that, like, they have earned a reputation because of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady that wasn't really a reflection of the actual organization. That the organization was being lifted by those two people and looked to be a great organization because of it. But there were still around the league serious doubts about the quality of the actual organization and how much it would withstand changes in general manager and head coach. That was something that it was really interesting for me, like, in talking to people around the league, because I've allowed myself to believe that, like, I bring up the Colts as an example of this, and I don't know where the Colts rank for ownership. They got to be, for what it's worth.
Middle of the pack.
But around the league, people would say Peyton Manning lifted the Colts. The Colts weren't a stable organization that just needed a quarterback. Peyton Manning overcame, which, if you've ever seen Jim Irsay
I mean, look
you
at
can't be that surprised by
it. You can look at what has happened since Andrew Luck left.
Well, yeah,
and that's a very tough situation.
Some people would say, right, like it's extraordinarily surprising that you lost your quarterback. You're still searching for a quarterback. That's going to happen to any team, even the Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, who we've always held as being. That is fascinating to me, the Pittsburgh, because
5 teams got a D.
I'll assume before we read it that the problem there is commitment to winning. I'll assume based on what parts of that.
Which is funny because they only have winning records. But yeah, it's.
So owner Art Rooney,
low ceiling, high floor.
Average rating for perceived willingness to invest in the facilities. That's what doomed him.
Interesting.
Is just a 6 out of 10 from Steelers players.
Weight room C+.
A ranking of 30th of 32 owners in the league.
Training room C+.
I will acknowledge I've never been to the Steelers facilities.
Nutritionist and dietitian C+.
The Steelers are also one of the few teams that still goes somewhere for
locker
training.
Room a D.
They still go to
one of the local
small college, and I can't remember
when the
what
Ravens used to go McDaniel.
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
What it's called either.
They still go there. It's in Latrobe, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
For training camp, which most teams don't do anymore. So I don't know. I think the Commanders still go to Richmond for some part of training camp.
St. Vincent College.
St. Vincent College. That's exactly what it is. So I don't know if that's reflected here. Admittedly, that's a tough one for me, right? Because if that's part of the reflection is the players don't like doing that, as an owner of a football team, I might be inclined to say, hey, we know you don't love this, but it's still really important for the relationship between city and franchise. I have said I don't know how to measure it, but I do believe that it has hurt the Ravens that they don't have the same ability for someone to wake up on a Saturday morning and say, I've got nothing to do today. I'm going to go out and spend time with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts them. It's hurt the touch between – it has made the franchise feel more distant to the average person in this region. And I get it. They kind of want that. That's the part they can't say out loud. This is major business now that we're talking about. Like the folks at Nike aren't just going to welcome you into corporate headquarters. They aren't just going to say, hey, come in off the street and hang out with us at corporate headquarters. It doesn't work that way. So I understand explanation, cause and effect is really what's going on. Like once upon a time, the NFL was not that level of business. And so it made sense. We want to be a part of the community. They're now that level of business. They don't really want to look like the Baltimore Blast. No offense. They want it to be, there's a clear line of delineation. You are lucky that we are inviting you into this place. We don't want you to just be able to wake up on a Saturday and decide that you want to spend time with us. But it does hurt you. It goes both ways. That's what they want. They want to be big business. They want to be untouchable. They want all that stuff. But what comes with it is inevitably a feeling of a disconnect, and that's the way that it goes. And Steelers, I think it's great that the Steelers still go and allow that community to feel like they're part of it.
Right.
I can wake up this day, say, I don't have to go to work today. I'm going to hang with the Steelers. And you can't do that in Baltimore. But it might reflect some of the negativity.
I mean, because I'm sure I said it, but yeah, I mean, I literally lived across the street from McDaniel,
sure, of course.
and it was amazing when I was a kid.
Even when I was not a kid, because the Ravens didn't show up here until I was 13. But even as a teenager in high school, my friends, it was free.
Right.
We were broke. We didn't have anything to do, so it was a way for us to be involved with the Ravens, despite the fact that we were broke. Which is always an issue that they've got to deal with in some capacity. Like how do you involve the people that don't have – we want everybody to feel like the Ravens are their team. How do you do that? And they would say, well, you can get a training camp pass. You can – but there's only a few of them, and they go really quickly, and you would have to know what day you're available, and who can possibly know that months ahead of time? That's all part of the problem. You would have to plan around – going to a football practice, and that's a tough thing to do. But on a day, if you just wake up and say, you guys got anything to do today? Let's go over and, see what Tony Banks looks like. Like, that was what it was for us as kids. Like, let's go watch, whoever throw the ball around. Maybe we'll meet a player after practice. Like, that was the thing to do. So they're never going back. Like, it's not like the Ravens are going to wake up one day and say, we've screwed this up. I've always thought they could do maybe a weekend. Like, there could be some sort of in-between.
Or 5 days or something.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still asking a lot.
That's still asking a lot. But, like, they take – and they tried to do it a little bit with, like, in one-off practices. Like, let's do a stadium practice. Let's do an Annapolis practice. They actually did one at Stevenson one year. Maybe they could do it at Towson. That'd be a bigger location where they could do it. Where, let's take the show on the road for a day to make it more accessible. Like, you're not going to fill Navy Marine Corps Stadium with people that, want to go to a football practice. So anybody could just decide that day, I'm going to go to this event. You couldn't do that at Stevenson. The place was going to fill up. So you had to come up with a different solution. But, that's the type of stuff. I would still love to see them do that. But the players might say, yeah, we don't want them to do that. We want them to keep doing this because we're much more comfortable in the facility. We're much more comfortable. Nobody really liked being at the Best Western all that much.
Yeah, well.
No disrespect to Best Western. I'm sure there are some guys that have fond memories of the Best Western, but I had some fond memories of the Best Western. It's a good time in life. But
they just got to upgrade. They should have just upgraded that then. They should have turned it into a Hilton,
La Quinta, something like that.
Holiday Inn Express,
A Conrad by Hilton. You're going to go really step it up?
Because it is still a Best Western.
What's the
actually, is it even still? I don't know what it is now.
I haven't been.
Because I drive by it a lot.
I don't go out to Westminster a ton. I don't sneak out that way.
You're missing out.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. That putt-putt place that you were going to take
Island Green.
Old
they claim best crab cakes in Carroll County, apparently.
Oh, boy.
At Island Green.
Oh, I bet Greenmount Station wants to fight. I bet that's...
They would.
Wait. The putt-putt place has the crab cakes?
They do, yeah.
Is it a sit-down restaurant?
Island Green. No, it's like because they also do like a half whatchamacallit, where it's like it's not Topgolf, but like you rent out a little area and you can just drive
a driving range.
Yeah, driving range.
Okay. Yeah, that's what they call
it.
But
like get food and
stuff.
But
you can order
drinks.
food. So it's a little bit more of a. There's a thing happening here at Old Island Green.
Yeah. And you gotta head all the way. It's like this is the outskirts of Westminster, like towards.
We don't talk about that.
Towards Tawnytown.
That side of town.
Towards Tawnytown.
You stay away from the folks.
FSK, like that kind of area.
That side. That's the other side of the tracks. We tell everybody stay away.
We don't like to go near FSK too much.
Don't go. Don't blame you. I've heard a thing or two. All right, that's the report cards. They came out today. Nothing.
This is past boggers.
Oh no, past boggers. Nothing particularly significant when it comes to the Ravens. So,
but if you hit a golf ball far enough, you could be landing right on the edge of the apple orchard. So,
it's just talking about Carroll County today.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing now. Is
we should
Griffin's Carroll County lesson. What's going on out there? Is right?
Stan the Fan is
Stan's here,
dropping off deliveries,
taping a special, I believe.
He's doing that just all the time here. The Drew and Stan show.
Heard all this. Is that what it is? That Drew left because he and Stan were maybe a power lunch between the two of them? What are you
Forrester?
Yeah, Forrester.
Yeah, we just had a great lunch.
Oh yeah, you're talking about plans maybe moving forward. The
GBR.
Yeah, it just seems like a strange commitment.
By the morning dish.
What's going on with you?
Just dropping a couple boxes off. We're shipping some papers to Sarasota.
Oh, Sarasota. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Because people like to gobble them up down there.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. When you headed down?
The 6th.
Oh, so you're still, that's forever away. You still have lots of time. Right?
It's months away.
That's why you got to tape your specials.
Yeah,
you got to get those all knocked out and in the can so that people can watch them while you're gone.
They're beating down the doors. Watching. What's going on?
Oh, I don't know. We were just hanging out talking about the NFLPA report cards.
Those are always fun.
And then Griffin was going on. He was teaching us the geography of Carroll County.
The point,
that was what was happening today.
Looks like I heard driving in, I was listening to Haney and Vinny and Haney.
I see it now.
I know, what the heck?
I would have thought that maybe you'd be listening to Glenn Clark Radio. That was.
I don't have that. I don't have that on our speed
got
dial.
a lot of questions about
so they got the coaching, the players vote on the coaches.
Yeah.
And
Gotta
the
be.
Ravens, the 28th.
That wasn't 28th. It was like 20. One of the categories.
I just heard 28th.
No.
You're saying that I don't get proper
category.
information.
No,
from
I think
Vinny
I
and
think
Henny?
they were talking about a specific thing.
Yeah, the coaching.
No, not in the coaching. There's a further breakdown.
Technically, yes. I guess technically, yes, they were
all right.
28th in coaching.
But
anyway,
hang on a second. Let me pull this up so I can.
But
read
the
it one
ownership
more
was
time.
A, Stan. The ownership was an A.
It was the specific in efficient with their time. It was 28th out of 32.
I would
that
say
was
that's
specific question.
Yeah.
Was do the
I
Ravens?
mean, like they're wasting our time every year.
I don't
Like, sort
think
of-
that's what the players are saying.
Okay.
That might be what the fans are saying. I don't think the players are saying that. All right, you good?
I'm all good.
All right, we're gonna grab a break, then we'll come back in, get a tidbit and tubular. Stan's just stopping by to say hello. He's gonna do a musical number next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
COVID-19 and flu viruses are circulating in Maryland. But don't worry, protection is within arm's reach. Protect your health with this year's COVID-19 and flu shots. It's safe and convenient to get them both at the same time. Flex your protection. For more information, visit health.maryland.gov/vaccines.
This message paid for by the Maryland Department of Health.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
You're gonna love February at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Sweeten your Valentine's Day with a chocolate bar February 13th and 14th. Pamper yourself and your partner with Valentine's Day spa discounts February 10th through 21st. Celebrate the Year of the Snake and win a Lunar New Year luxury brand collection February 28th. Plus more ways to play, dine, and win all month. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Driving in Maryland? Did you know an Easy Pass from DriveEasyMD.com can save you time and money? Of course you did, because you are a thrifty driver. An antenna reads your Easy Pass transponder and automatically deducts the toll from your Easy Pass account. There, you just saved money with Easy Pass, all without slowing or receiving a notice in the mail. Well done, thrifty driver, well done. Get your Easy Pass at DriveEasyMD.com.
The votes were all counted, and the results are official. Royal Farms was named #1 for food in the USA Today 10 Best poll, receiving more votes than any other convenience store chain in America. The next time you want to get some good food fast, doesn't it make sense to go to Royal Farms? Voted best in the USA and home of world-famous chicken. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Contrary to what some people believe, I actually like this guy when he sleeps. Glenn Clark, talking sports.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Would You Rather Wednesday edition of the program. I say continue along. We're winding down for a Would You Rather Wednesday. Stan, are you doing another show this week? Are you doing another show this week? No. Did baseball with John from Hartford Community College on Monday. No, I was just, I'm sorry. I was got to do reads here. That's what I was trying to make sure. John Hauser, baseball coach at Hartford Community College with Stan and Luke. If you missed that, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. All right. What was I feel like there was. Let's just do it. Let's get a tidbit. Tidbit brought to you today by the CIAA Tournament.
That's right.
Day 2.
It is the excitement of the Food Line CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament is back at CFG Bank Arena. Started yesterday, and it runs through Saturday. And, it is day 2. Johnson C. Smith avoided the upset from Elizabeth City State. They won 83-75. That one went final just a few minutes ago. So coming up next is going to be, hold on, I had it, Lincoln and Winston-Salem, also on the men's side of the bracket. So that'll be coming up shortly hereafter with that game going final a few
Throw out
minutes
all
ago.
the records when those teams get together.
And you can get your tickets. They are still available now at Ticketmaster.com. Again, head over to Ticketmaster.com for your tickets to the Food Line CIAA Men's and Women's Basketball Tournament at CFG Bank Arena, running from now and through Saturday, March 1st.
Very good. What you got?
What do I have tidbit-wise here? As we covered it in the old association corner with Drew, the Luka Doncic did take on the Mavs yesterday, had a pretty good game. It was also he had recorded a triple-double against all 29 teams. Luka did while with Dallas, and then against the Mavericks last night, recording a triple-double. He now becomes just the third player to record a triple-double against all 30 teams.
How about that?
Who are the other two?
That's crazy. LeBron,
yes.
You have to start with. I mean, I was gonna say you have to start with it. Can't be a player that only played for one team, but those guys don't really exist anymore.
Right.
Harden. No. Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook, yes. Russ, LeBron, and Luka, the only three to
How about that?
do it against all the current 30 NBA teams, were triple-double. And then yesterday we did the 3 teams, since St. Francis is defunct, but the 3 teams that had never made an NCAA tournament. However, in the last couple of years, though, there have been, the 4 tournaments since COVID, there's been at least one team that is broke their.
Are you for real?
Yeah, name them.
You're not. You're. This
7 total.
This is laughable.
What?
How would anyone know this? Unless you covered those schools.
You should know it.
No, I absolutely should not know it.
I feel like you should.
Unless you covered those schools, there is no way of knowing that.
SWAC.
Alcorn.
No. Last year.
I'm sure that I know who won the SWAC last year.
A-Sun in the SWAC last year.
I'm sure that I would know that. Christ, this is terrible. Who else is in the SWAC? Jackson State.
Not Jackson State.
Grambling.
Yes, Grambling State. Well
Great.
done.
I'm
Well
just
done.
naming schools. There's no way that anybody on the. This is a terrible. This is maybe the worst one yet.
I disagree. Guess I've done pretty good then. If this is the worst one.
Yeah, I don't know. This is really bad. What you said? What was the other conference?
A-Sun last year.
Who's in the Atlantic Sun? Lipscomb.
Not Lipscomb.
I don't know. Austin P.
Not Austin P.
I don't know who else is in the A-Sun. Stetson.
Yes, Stetson. Well done.
Okay.
Well done. And then one team in 2023.
From what league?
From the CUSA, the Conference USA.
A Conference USA team? Well, the conference. Who knows who's in Conference USA
exactly.
anymore? That's part of the problem. Rice.
Not Rice. Rice in the.
They're in the American now. Yeah, I did know that.
Were they in the conference?
They were in the Conference USA. Who's in Conference USA anymore? Christ. Kennesaw.
Yep. Well done. See, you know. Then in 22,
I didn't even know they were in Conference USA. I'm being
2 teams from in 2022. One was a Big South.
Big South. Liberty.
Not Liberty. Liberty.
They're not in the Big South.
No. When did they move to the?
Because football moved them.
Sunbelt is out there.
Yeah. High Point.
They do not have football. I don't think. Not High
Liberty.
No,
definitely has football.
Yeah, I'm talking about Liberty.
Oh.
This team does not have.
This team does not have football. Winthrop.
Not Winthrop.
No, they've been to the tournament. Longwood.
Yep, Longwood.
Griff Aldrich.
Yeah, Longwood made the tournament in 2022, and then this team, they're currently in the America East. Yeah, they're currently in the America East. I don't know what conference they would have been in 22, but they're currently in the America East.
But you don't think they've been in the America East?
Yeah, I think this is the first year, or last year was the first year.
Is that NJIT?
Not NJIT.
Is that
NJIT might be on the list of never. Yeah, NJIT has never made it.
Who joined the league? Because Lowell's been there. Most of these teams are teams that have been there for a while. Binghamton, Maine, Vermont, Bryant.
Yes, Bryant. There you go, Bryant. They made it with What conference were they? Were they in the America East by then? Maybe they were. Or
they
were
in
still
the
in the
NEC,
NEC. I
maybe?
think they were still in the NEC.
Okay.
But yeah, Bryant.
Because I'm pretty sure Vermont was the representative of the America East every year but one.
And then in 2021, first year after COVID, 2 more new teams from the WAC.
Sacramento State.
And then this team also, their program unfortunately defunct. They were America East. They were definitively.
St. Francis?
No.
Central Connecticut?
Nope. It was the one.
Hartford.
Yep, Hartford. And then the WAC.
Grand Canyon.
There you go, Grand Canyon. Look at that. You knew. You're welcome. I gave you. You knew it.
It was a bad tidbit. That was awful. All right.
I love the first. Never made the tournament. Breaking out of the never made the tournament club teams.
Okay. All right. Let's get tubular.
Of course.
Have you ever thought of taking a cruise to these wonderful destinations with sunny skies and beautiful beaches? Well, wait no longer. We're ready for you to cruise from the Cruise Maryland Terminal.
Have a little phrase that you can go from baggage to margarita in about 15 minutes.
Choose fun with an array of destinations, onboard activities, entertainment, and world-class cuisine.
Contact your travel agent and book your cruise today. Let your adventure begin.
All right, here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Busy night, as we talked about earlier. Maryland, Michigan State, 6:30 on Big Ten Network. ESPN Plus, CIAA Tournament all day long. Also, Navy, Virginia Women's Lacrosse at 5. Bucknell, Loyola Hoops at Reitz Arena tonight at 7. Navy American Hoops at 7 down in D.C., all on ESPN Plus. GoMaxSports.tv, Catholic and Stevenson Lacrosse tonight at 7. MLB TV, but only Pittsburgh audio for the broadcast. Orioles Pirates at 105. Tomoyuki Sagano makes his first spring start against Bailey Falter. I think that's it for Big Ten hoops tonight, by the way. I don't think there's any other Big Ten hoops tonight. As far as college basketball is concerned, Ole Miss Auburn, 7 on ESPN2. Texas Arkansas at 9. How about Georgia beating Florida, by the way? That's kind of crazy. Everything else, college basketball, find at GlennClarkRadio.com. Monumental, Blazers, Wizards, 7 o'clock. ESPN, Sixers, Knicks at 7. Spurs, Rockets at 9:30. TNT and True TV for Canucks, Kings at 10 o'clock. TBS has AEW Dynamite at 8. And then Japan and the U.S. in the She Believes Cup women's soccer event. We were watching the U.S. play Australia on Sunday in the Clark household because there was nothing else to watch. That sounds the wrong way.
NASCAR.
No, it sounds like we didn't enjoy watching. Right. We very much enjoyed watching the U.S. women, but it was just a reminder of it's Sunday afternoons, and until baseball starts, nothing. Well, I guess the NCAA tournament will have Sunday afternoon games. I take that back. That's USA, Liverpool, Newcastle United at 3:15. MLB Network has Phillies, Blue Jays at 1:07, and then Dodgers, Brewers after that. Non-sports.
Big one is obviously season 48 premiere of Survivor tonight.
Yeah, that is the big one.
CBS at 8. So everyone will be setting their DVRs. You flip over to that after the Maryland game, of course.
Yes.
And then Shoresy, season 4 of us.
Oh, that's today?
That's today.
Oh, hell yeah.
Shoresy's out today.
Oh, my apologies to everybody at Stevenson. I might be distracted. I
really
might not make it over.
You're just watching Shoresy during the game, maybe?
That might be the way it goes.
And then Simu Liu and Floyd.
Isn't it Simu Liu? Is it Liu?
I thought it was Liu. It was his first name I always have
Shang-Chi, of course.
Yes, Simu Liu, I think.
Double check that. I've been saying Liu. I'm not saying that I bring it up in conversation every day.
I thought it was Liu.
But
I thought that was it was his last name. I thought I was
Saturday
confident
Night Live
about.
Once.
Yeah,
and I thought.
And his first name I still can't. I'm still not confident about. It's definitely Simu. So. I'm pretty sure it's Liu. Simu Liu and Floyd Mayweather on Fallon.
Oh, they're promoting the Academy Awards.
Oh,
yeah,
both of them.
They're hosting.
Oh, they're. What happened to Conan?
Yeah, you couldn't be more wrong. Simu Liu.
We're positive.
Yes.
Do you have a video of him saying?
I mean, you can look for that, but very much.
I mean, I'm not gonna go to my grave with this, but
I wouldn't if I were you. It's what the first thing that came up. Simu Liu. Simu Liu. Okay, here we go. Here we go, yeah. Simu Liu, yes. He on Saturday Night Live, he shared that they had it written up on the screen that way so that everybody would get it right.
All right.
Up yours.
Good for Simu Liu.
Get it right. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it. There was maybe there was somebody on late night. I clicked out of it. I don't. No, not really. Mindy Kaling on Kimmel. Guy Fieri on Colbert.
I don't have anything prepared for what he's also plugging the Academy Awards. Go figure.
Good. Really?
Yeah, go figure.
No, he's Shorzy. I thought that was.
Oh, yeah. It's very exciting. Sorry, I was caught off guard because I was thinking about something else and I was not ready for it. That's on me. That's on me. Screwed up. All right. Thanks today to Drew, I guess. Thanks to Rapheal Davis.
NBA Corner.
Thanks to Erik Kratz and to Nendah Tarke. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Can You Take Me Higher
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com.
We know he's listening.
Right.
So we shout out Stan.
Imagine coming on to somebody's show and being like, "Yeah, I was just listening to another show, not you."
Maybe if he said foul territory, it was like, okay, yeah. But
like, boy, that's really how things stand. That's where we stand around here, huh? Second most popular show in the building. Rough. I can take the hint. I get it. We'll do something else. We got anything tomorrow?
Recap of the Maryland game.
You got to be kidding. Nothing? Nothing?
Not at the moment, no.
Oh, no. We got to do better. Hey!
Good show today, I think.
We had decent. Thanks, everybody, Pressbox. All of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel, Cruise Maryland, Crown Trophy, Easy Pass, Royal Farms, CIAA Tournament, HelpMyGamblingProblem.org, DeCosta Sin, MSA, Maryland Sports, Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Wednesday evening. Go Terps, go Loyola, go Navy. Duke sucks.